So Joe, my friend, my former roommate and current co-host,
Yes.
if there's anything that a person should know if they know me, they should know that I have an affinity for noir.
That's accurate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this only like vaguely, sort of, kind of has something to do with the movie we're covering today, but I really wanted to um, test your knowledge.
Hold up.
Fuck.
Oh
Not
no.
recording.
Oh no. What just happened? I'm frozen.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, you are. I see that.
My whole computer's frozen.
Oh. Well, um. Hmm. That's no good.
No, that's very bad. Um, I tried to hit the record for the Logitech thing
Oh.
in addition to this, and it freaked out and it froze everything. So we can't do
too
that.
much. Okay, got it. Noted.
Um,
I'm gonna go ahead and I can't end the broadcast. You're gonna restart your.
I'm gonna have to restart my whole fucking computer.
Yeah. All right.
God damn it. Okay.
Please hold anyone on Instagram. We're experiencing some technical difficulties.
Wait, it still shows that we're live,
I know, right?
which is kind of amazing. Okay. Are we back?
Do you want to check our audio?
Hmm?
Our audio levels. Make sure that we're.
They're set exactly the same as they were a moment ago, so I
Hot.
imagine they're fine. Yeah, should be good.
I'm gonna fall asleep to that later. Just put that on loop. Maybe some Enya in the background.
Wait, what do you mean white noise isn't just a white guy droning?
Well, that's how I've always done it.
Woohoo! Okay, are we actually live?
Well, luckily for our little technical snafu, I was able to double check a source and fix my quote. So there we go. It was worth
neat.
it. It was worth
okay,
it.
So okay, it was a
It wasn't
happy.
issue 2,
It was a
issue
happy
3.
accident. All right, restarting the Reaper recording now. Okay.
Nice.
I'm gonna actually look at Twitch and see if see if it's showing us as live here.
That's a good idea.
Hey, it's live. There we go. Okay. I was watching to see if that movement came through.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. And we're getting audio levels on Reaper.
Yeah, we're all set. We're
Great.
recording. We're good.
Great.
We're good to actually start.
Hey, man. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Jack.
You know what I like?
What do you like?
Misery.
Yes. No, that's objectively true.
You know what the film version of Misery is?
Oh, noir.
Film noir.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So I thought it would be fun, even though it's just barely related to our topic today, to test your understanding of noir slang.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay, this will
yeah.
be fun. Yeah, hit me with this.
I know my noir, and even some I'm like, trip for biscuits. What? Yeah.
Pardon me.
Yeah. So start out with some easy ones. When possible, I'm using them in a sentence. So first, we're gonna go with the word dormy, as in, why didn't you lie in the dormy in the places you? Why didn't you lie dormy in the place you climbed to?
Why didn't you lie dormy?
Yeah.
Is it like still or like dormant or quiet?
Yes, it's the guy with dormant. Didn't need to shorten that, but they did.
Yeah, see, that's
All right.
That's the same number of syllables.
Yeah.
You really didn't need to do that.
All right. To let the daylight in, or fill them with daylight. Daylight being the word.
Is that like pump them full of holes? Is that like just aerate a guy with a
2 for 2?
Okay.
Either stabbing or shooting somebody. This one I feel like we still use in language today, being behind the 8 ball.
Oh yeah, this is like you're you're in a rough situation.
Yeah,
you're under extreme pressure.
How about she's got a real pair of bump gums?
Pardon?
She's got a real set of bump gums.
It's either tits or legs.
You know, you'd think so, but no. It just means she doesn't talk about anything worthwhile, or the person, whoever.
Bump gums?
Bump gums. Yeah. It doesn't. Listen, these are all pulled from different noir books. Everyone was very drunk in the 40s.
Extremely drunk. Yeah, fair. Hey, Prohibition had ended, and everybody was depressed.
Right. Later, we're gonna be out on the roof.
Be out on the roof?
Mm-hmm.
Out on the roof.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard that one. That's
no, but we're gonna be there out on the roof later.
I'll be there out on the roof.
Celebrating.
Is that what it means? Celebrating?
It means being drunk.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, goddamn. Out on the roof.
Yeah,
that's a weird one.
Yeah, that one's. I do like that one.
I'll look at the etymology of that more later to see like where are they exactly getting that.
I'm assuming that like just Raymond Chandler, whatever popped into his head at the time. He was just writing so much at the time. He's like, there's bump gums, and they should have been dorming.
I mean, theoretically I should have understood that one, because we do have friends who would get drunk and go onto roofs in college.
Oh yeah, I was one of them.
I was saying, because you would go to Nate Fessler's, and when he lived with Ben Savory, if I'm not mistaken, there was roof access there that everyone would get drunk on.
When I lived on 7th, there was a roof.
Behind there. Yeah,
that one wasn't as good though, because they could hear you and they would not be happy.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, the one over by Nate and Ben's. There were two. There was like the safe one, and then there was a not safe one. That was like the whole way at the top that you could like see down through the what are those called? The windows, that skylights.
Oh god.
Yeah. It's not in a college town.
No, it's a terrible idea.
I definitely peed off that thing.
Of course you did.
Actually, there was. I'm not going to name him, but so there. I've told you before. There's 2 holidays at IUP that I would not drink.
Oh yeah.
Homecoming and
IU patties.
Yeah. It's dangerous.
It's
dangerous.
It's horribly dangerous.
It has a body count. So.
Yeah, and it's always the people who don't fucking go to the school. It's just
so a fellow theater major of mine was partying at that house, and is Irish and was very drunk, and took a leak off the roof into the street. Which is
I was just to say into a crowd.
I'm gonna say, knowing him, it was probably not intentional. It was just kind of like
you're just that drunk.
right.
You picked a direction and went.
Yeah, yeah, as you do. This is a separate drinking story. I gotta stop playing with it. I was telling Belinda earlier about the person that we talked about for marketing. How, I remember him for X, Y, and Z. One of them being that like he was very, very drunk at a party, got up, went to the bathroom, zipped up his fly, and went back to bed. Except for there was a friend of mine on the couch taking a nap, and that wasn't the bathroom.
Oh no!
That was the corner of a bedroom.
Oh no, that's amazing.
Just, like, it was the middle of the night. You know how you're like kind of out of it anyway. Plus being drunk, just like I'm not gonna even open my eyes because I want to get back to sleep. But so
good lord.
So got a real butter and egg man here.
Butter and egg man?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to finish the story. We went flashback within a flashback, and I forgot to finish the first Inception layer of flashback. Anyway, he pissed into the street, and the cops came up, and he was drunk and tried to hug them, and they're like, to the other people at the party, like, if you need to handle your friend, or we have to hurt him.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. So don't pee into the middle of the main street.
That's the lesson.
That's the lesson.
That's the DeRazzled message here.
So yeah, butter and egg man.
Butter and egg man.
Yeah. We're going out tonight with a butter and egg man.
Butter and egg man. I'm.
As they say, Kanye West is a real butter and egg man.
Okay. So my initial, before you said Kanye, my initial inclination was with a real rich guy.
Yeah.
So because those are fairly rich foods, like in terms of fat content and whatnot. Yeah.
I'm sure that much thought didn't go into it, but yeah.
Maybe it did.
Maybe.
And who knows?
Yeah, they're the person that like takes you out on the town and like pays for everything.
Yeah, they're the bankroll.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm doing better at this than I expected.
Two more.
Okay.
It was way too far off the track. Strictly Section 8. We're looking at the phrase "off the track."
Okay, I thought you were talking Section 8 for a second there. Off the track. Like he's completely lost it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gone completely insane.
He's like off the rails.
Yeah. And then the one that I mentioned, trip for biscuits. So I'm not using a sentence.
Trip for biscuits.
Yes.
Okay.
You get there fast and you get there alone, or you got a trip for biscuits.
Get there fast, you get there alone, or you got a trip for biscuits.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Like you got to pay the consequences. Like you got like
close. You did it. There was no reason for you to go. Like you made the trip and got no results.
But biscuits.
But yeah, that's the misleading part. You're like, like biscuits.
I like biscuits. A trip for biscuits sounds delightful.
But if
I want biscuits,
I
brought biscuits this morning.
You did, and they were great. Almost put me into a coma, but they're still good. And now you all know how to speak drunk detective. Great. Hooray! Holy shit! Welcome to DeRazzled, everybody. Where the podcast takes award-winning worst films and fixes them. I'm host Jack Culbertson, and here to suffer alongside me, as always, is also host Joe Nealis.
We're back.
All the movies on DeRazzled won Worst Picture at the Razzies. The Razzies, for those of you who don't know, are something of a reverse Oscars. They recognize the worst film of the year. With 37 remaining films to pick from, I have chosen Howard the Duck, because why the cloaca not?
Well, I think given the recent massive post-pandemic success of Spider-Man No Way Home, it's only reasonable that we dive into what is inevitably going to get brought back into the MCU, baby.
Yeah.
They're reaching back into the catalog here. They're pulling everything in.
Now, there is not an iteration of Howard the Duck that is Spider-Man adjacent, but there is a Howard the Duck that is Deadpool adjacent.
Of fucking course there is. God damn it.
In hashtag Ryan Reynolds, Howard the Duck. Listen, Ryan, you tried really, really hard to get Hugh in. You tried. I appreciate it. It didn't happen, but there's still a shot at something great here.
There's still a shot at something great.
And that is a talking drunk duck detective.
Yes.
Jesus. Okay. Well, what did exposure did you have to Howard before?
Not a lot, honestly. I so as we've mentioned before, like you're way more well versed in comics than I am.
Yes.
Like I have like a smattering of knowledge here and there, and a lot of that comes from just picking up random comics at the grocery store as a kid. And I remember seeing some Howard the Duck books either like on the shelf at like the Foodland that we would go to, or advertised within the other like Spider-Man or X-Men books that I was getting.
He did a lot of crossovers in the 90s, which we'll get to.
Yeah, like I saw, like I knew references of him, and I had seen later on, I had seen like snippets and previews of the movie, but I'd never actually seen the movie until we watched it for this. And then after that, like the only thing that I really knew about him was that everyone hoped he would show up in Guardians of the Galaxy because James Gunn was doing some weird things, and lo and behold, he did briefly.
In 1 and 2.
In 1 and 2, yeah. Hopefully 3. Who knows?
I would like to see Howard have a larger part in the MCU, but we'll get to that. So when I was growing up, it is an understatement to say I was a Star Wars fan.
Oh, sure.
Like I was fanatical. I remember there was like Star Wars Insider, was like a fan magazine, and with it would come just extra posters and stuff. And one of the posters was this really, really well done drawing. I think the artist's name is Drew Strasberg, something like that. He did the like Indiana Jones posters.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the Star Wars ones. Like he's fantastic.
Yeah, no, those were iconic posters.
Well, he did like a drawing of like George Lucas and then all of his like different franchises around it,
and Howard's in there. Yeah. That's the thing that blew my mind about this going, because for as much as I had seen about the movie when, like earlier in life, I did not know George Lucas had any hand in this.
So, God, now that I'm thinking about this, Howard the Duck is part of my filmmaker origin story.
Really?
Yes, loosely, but yes.
Okay.
So one of the things that made me first want to get into filmmaking was this show on the Sci-Fi Channel called Exposure. And
I'm not familiar.
It's probably garbage, but like I remember it fondly. It was a short film, mostly sci-fi, somewhat horror, where the host was Lisa Marie, who was at the time with Tim Burton.
Okay.
She plays a bunch of like small parts. Like she was Vampira in
right.
Ed Wood.
Yeah. I think we talked about that.
Yes. So they would put her in like skimpy, tight sci-fi 90s outfits.
Like you do, yeah.
Right. And then she would just like, now we're going to watch this one. Now we're going to watch this one. Now we're going to watch this one. And there was an episode, I have it recorded on the VHS tape somewhere, that contained a short film called Lucas in Love, which I'm sure you can find on the internet somewhere. It is worth a watch, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. And it's George in college trying to become a filmmaker and having like a hell of a time coming up with a script.
Okay.
And it's him like meeting this girl and seeing these like very obvious inspirations for Star Wars. Like you see like a very tall man and a very short man, and they're like bickering with each other. Another one like clicks at him. And like the girl he falls for has like buns on her head. So like that, I don't want to give it away. It's cute, but it ends with like the revelation, like the climax of the thing, and then everyone's kind of like standing around like, what do we do now? And I think his roommate comes in with a duck and he's like, I want you to meet Howard.
Oh no.
Yeah. And I saw that and I was like, I want to be a filmmaker.
Okay, so that note that got you started on that path ends with Howard the Duck.
Right.
Okay.
Right. No, it wasn't me looking at a duck named Howard. I'm like, I could do better than this. Good God. Fantastic. Well, before I go into the summary of Howard the Duck, I want to remind
yeah, we want to remind everyone, like and subscribe to the show on whatever platforms of your choice. Please rate and review the show. That helps us get up in standings and into search results higher. We want as many people to discover us as possible and to check out the show. So please do that.
You guys are a bunch of rock stars. Definitely not a bunch of ducks. Quack, quack, quack. All right, let's get into the movie summary. It's they crammed a lot of story into this. I think hour 40-minute movie.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they really jam packed this thing.
Got the mouth already. Okay, we pan across the glowing cityscape. Full moons perched overhead. A melancholy trumpet brings the mood low. You light a Lucky and sling a bourbon, ready for the TCM to bring you the best in gritty film noir. Definitely film noir, and not a movie about a horny duck with aspirations of playing in a rock and roll band. Except it is a movie about a horny duck with aspirations of playing in a rock and roll band. You slam your bourbon and lower your expectations. No? Lower. Lower. Close enough. Inside Howard's apartment, the opening credits fade in and out over photos of his friends and family. The answer machine recites the sultry pleas of Wendy, hungry for that double D. That's duck dick. We zoom into a love letter from Michelle, the duck, also hungry for that double D. Duck dick.
No, we got it.
Howard grabs a Huggy-sized Budweiser from the fridge, watches some TV, and then opens an issue of Play Duck. Surely this movie can't be that horny. Surely they wouldn't put nipples on a duck. It is, and they do.
They did. They sure do.
Howard opens to the centerfold, revealing Ms. October. I don't know why I said Ms. It's Miss. It's very progressive. Miss October, a duck with giant honkers and teeny tiny little pink nipples poking through her fluffy down.
Just why on earth would a duck have nipples?
That's the question I want to see on like a lollipop stick or like a popsicle stick.
I'm pretty sure that is the popsicle stick equivalent of the guy from PBR tweeting about eating ass.
Is that thing that happened?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No.
Yeah. The guy who was running PBR's like brand social media account decided to start the year by tweeting about eating ass. He got fired.
Oh.
Yeah. No, which is wild considering how completely bonkers brand Twitter is.
Does PBS not? Yeah,
PBS. Oh no!
PBS tweeted about eating ass. Whoa, Mr. Rogers would not approve.
Probably not.
Probably
no.
Not. PBR. Like, do they not know the brand that they are? Like, are they aware?
I have no idea.
They must not know. Jesus. Okay. Before Howard can choke the chicken, a phrase that only now in my 30s I'm questioning the etymology of. Let's stop right there and confirm that yes, duck titties do not an R rating make. Instead, the rating boards, which consists of parents and religious leaders, said it's perfectly okay for you to show this movie to your first grader.
Yeah, this is a PG rated film, isn't it?
It is.
Because there wasn't PG-13 just yet. Or no, hadn't PG-13 like just happened? I think we looked this up while we were doing the watch along. This was a year after Raiders, or was it the same year as Raiders?
Well, it's not Raiders that brought about the PG-13. It was Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
And I don't think Temple even got it. I think it was like because of Temple of Doom.
It was formed because of that. Okay. Yeah.
Which I think is 84, and this came out in 86. So they don't have an excuse.
They don't have an excuse. This should have been at least PG-13.
Yeah, what are those? Well, some when a man and a pervert make a movie together. Anyway, this Dana Barrett Demet chair tears through the apartment while demolishing an elderly couple's bedroom, then a lady duck's relaxing bubble bath.
Where there are more duck nipples.
Yeah, but like this time way bigger areolas.
You say that like it makes it better.
Well, like the first set, it almost looked like it was like a blemish coming up through. Like if they weren't matching blemishes.
It's duck airbrushing.
Right. Oh God.
I regret everything.
We really need to start doing episodes again that my mom can listen to. Howard exits through the side of the apartment complex, his chair flying through the sky, before entering a wormhole. A narrator, who isn't but might as well be Marvel's Uatu the Watcher, poorly explains to children and uncomfortable adults of the 1980s the concept of the multiverse. Something that I guess you guys aren't ready for yet, but your kids are going to love it.
God damn it.
Howard falls through the Phantom Zone, space mirror thing. Before the title appears, Uatu shouts, "In the beginning, there was Howard the Duck," and the title explodes. I don't know why any of this happened, but it did.
Choices were made.
Howard crash lands in Cleveland, Ohio, only to immediately be accosted by several Twisted Sister rejects. They toss his ass into a legitimately awesome looking bar, where a Joan Jett-esque band, Cherry Bomb, begins to play. Cherry Bomb is led by Beverly Switzler, played by Leah Thompson, hot off the success of that movie where she tried to fuck her son.
I think I watched that DVD extra that you sent me, and she mentions like it was a weird couple of years for me. Like I was supposed to be in love with my son, then
Yeah.
I was supposed to be in love with a duck. I was really confused for a bit there.
And I think I told you that she had initially turned down a couple of movie offers
Yeah.
while making Howard.
Mhm.
And then when the press came out that like Howard was gonna bomb really bad, she immediately like accepted all those movie offers because she's like, I'm never gonna work again after this duck movie. Okay, so assuming Howard is a child in a duck suit, the bouncer gives him the rummy toss. Fleeing, Howard avoids being run over by a garbage truck, interrupts a couple necking in the alley, and is nearly run down by Satan's sluts, a biker gang made up of surly women with big hair, fabulous eye makeups, and Mom, is that you? A duo of Droog pledges harass Beverly as she leaves. They for real though.
Yeah.
They're like the Droogs if the Droogs sewed baby doll heads to their jackets.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they
Yeah.
had like a weird like body horror punk aesthetic.
Yeah. Which, like, now that I think about it, this is way off track, but there are subtler versions of it. Like, I think Alex has a cuff length. It's like an eyeball.
I missed that entirely. I was too taken with like the literal baby doll face.
Oh, I mean, in A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, in A Clockwork.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's pretty distracting. The other stuff's pretty distracting, so you kind of miss the subtleties.
That's fair. Yeah.
Subtleties. So the Droogs are like, hey, let's go fuck up this chick. Howard comes to her aid, threatening to use quack foo, as first seen in Howard the Duck #3.
Oh, there it is. There's the correction.
Yeah, there's the correct. I usually said 2, and that's unforgivable. The fight scene is so, but knowing that the actor Ed Gale was essentially blind in that suit, I am honestly impressed at how natural he makes those movements look.
Seriously, that was the thing that was the most wild for me to learn about this film was just the fact that he did so much of this without being able to see because he could only see when the duck bill was open.
Right. He learned his blocking by walking it backwards.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So I've got nothing bad to say about
No,
him.
he's great.
After Bev thanks Howard for the help, a storm breaks out. Feeling bad for Howard, the literal duck, for getting caught in the rain, she invites him back to her place. The writers, who notably worked on American Graffiti and Star Wars New Hope, foreshadow the future conflict between Bev and the band's manager, who is also her landlord.
No,
yeah,
don't get into business with your landlord.
So many bad ideas. Before Bev offers Howard a saucer of duck. Ducks ain't cats, Bev. Howard and Bev exchange witty banter, and for a second, I think maybe this movie won't be terrible. Then Howard falls out of the chair and has a Nam-style flashback of that time 2 hours ago when his chair was sucked out of his living room. The horror. While tucking Howard into bed, Bev discovers Howard's wallet. This isn't important, but kudos to the prop master, because if you look in the little like where the photos are kept, behind the one with some like duck babes, there's a feather put in there, almost like a lock of hair.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it's really subtle. I just happened to like pause at that moment.
Oh, that's a quick gag.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that. Wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably because you were distracted by the unwrapped condom or
that was the worst. Just
ducky rubber. I'm sorry.
Bye, everybody. I can't.
Just it looks like dried hard day old pasta.
It's literally like that episode of the Venture Brothers where he like reaches into the drawer to grab a condom and it like cracks along the edges and turns to dust. It's just
I hate that I know the reproductive habits of the duck, which I will only describe as a process that H.R. Giger would find fascinating.
Fair.
Corkscrew wieners aside, I genuinely enjoyed this scene. There's a lot of character and relationship building. without it feeling forced. It's also it's like almost enough to put aside the awkward sexual tension between a woman and a
And
waterfowl.
yeah,
Almost.
almost. They draw a little too much attention to that
Yeah,
in some moments,
it's
but also their repartee is very
yeah,
natural, and
which like the writers having worked on American Graffiti, um, that makes sense to me. Like
mhm,
it's a very like chatty banter movie, plot light, character heavy.
sure,
But when they I think it's called lamp shading when you draw attention to the elephant in the room.
yeah,
It's like, hey, this is a problem in the script. Let's point it out. We're acknowledging it, so that makes it less bad. Sometimes, a lot of times that works. I like that tool, but here it kind of works against it.
okay.
Anyway,
Anyway,
the following day we meet Phil, portrayed by Tim Robbins, who I guess is sort of friends with Bev, or maybe an acquaintance through
it,
Bev's sex-starved bandmate. It's never made clear.
yeah, it's not 100% clear.
Mr. Robbins plays an unhinged scientist working at a local museum.
That's putting it mildly.
He's like what, like a lab assistant?
I meant the unhinged part is mild.
Oh, yeah.
But also, yeah, it's something like that.
I describe him as like a younger, spunkier Doc Brown with
Yeah.
like maybe like a coke problem.
Yes, there it is. Okay.
Uh, Bev and Howard have gone to Phil in hopes that this vaudevillian plot device can help Howard get back to Duck World. Phil is more interested in communicating with Howard in a Donald Duck voice, which shouldn't feel racist, but it
really
kinda
does. Just
pissed, Howard leaves. He and Bev fight, leading to the two separating. Howard scares off some children and a stunned man eating a sandwich. This is the closest we get to the grumpy asshole version of Howard that is in the comics.
sure.
A series of pointless scenes follow in which Howard attempts to bite the juicy ass of a social worker, becomes a
Yeah.
jizz mopper at a bathhouse,
Completely unnecessary scene.
and like kind of like at least the social worker scene was like brief and had some funny gags.
Yeah,
Him working at a bathhouse,
serves no purpose.
no, and you got that duck suit all goopy, unnecessary. He also watches a bloodthirsty Elmer Fudd looking, yeah, oh, this like Elmer Fudd looking like a literal Elmer Fudd, and then like a human equivalent who's just like bloodthirsty for duck hunting. It felt very Cleveland.
Maybe that's it. They're just trying to further set the tone of Cleveland
Right.
in the film.
Just nothing but like social workers with juicy asses and bathhouses full of mud. But
If you're from Ohio,
let
us know if this is
Yeah.
what Cleveland's like, because I don't think that represents my time there.
I've never been, so I just assume it's exactly like that. The downtrodden Howard returns to the club where he first met Bev. There he runs into Cherry Bomb's manager and his goons. A fight breaks out. Howard beats the hell out of the goons with a little help from a strangely eager bartender who hands him a bottle for busting heads.
I loved that.
It's so good. It's subtle.
It's like, here you go.
Yeah. Just like goes right with the flow. Howard doesn't even stop, doesn't ask any questions, just immediately bashes this guy in the head with the bottle. Howard threatens space rabies, and the manager instantly relinquishes ownership of the band to Howard. God damn it,
Space rabies.
they like go at like a close up in his face, like space rabies. Backstage, Howard apologizes for being a douchebag to Bev. Phil enters the room, the dressing room with beer and pizza, sees Howard and says something inappropriate in Mallard, which I will attempt
In
to
Mallard.
I hate myself for doing this, but it's something like
Waka, waka, waka. It sounds like that. Yeah, he's kind of Fozzie Bearing it a little bit.
yeah, it's like halfway between a Fozzie Bear and a duck. I just remember that Pauline is on like video conferences right now, and I hope it's silenced. Otherwise, her instructor just heard that.
Oh God.
Anyway, it's her fault for dating me. Howard asks what a pizza is. Phil says it's a circular Italian food object, which isn't wrong.
That's not wrong. Yeah.
He then steals one of Howard's feathers before running off, laughing maniacally as he does. Tim
What a
Robbins really
weird-
goes for it.
What a weird character. Like he leans in
Yeah.
hard, but like what a strange character. Like even for this.
We cut to Bev's apartment, where, depending on your browser history, we answer the question you've either been eagerly waiting or dreading. She gonna fuck that duck? After flirting with
It's either she gonna fuck that duck or is she gonna fuck that duck?
right, it's the emphasis. After flirting with Bev, Howard is surprised when Bev reciprocates. So yes, Yes, she gonna fuck that duck.
She called his bluff.
She did.
I
She did.
actually enjoyed how like uncomfortable he got.
Right.
Like that that was fascinating.
Like, instead of having it played that he's like all about it and that
Mhm.
she's uncomfortable,
I mean, it's still deeply weird that
it's still weird,
she's that
right?
into it, and like you have to wonder like how much of that is her like just bluffing back and like clearly
Because
just trying to make him uncomfortable. But
at the end of the scene, she's like, "I'm just kidding." But I'm like,
but
Your
even
performance does not indicate
no,
as
the
such."
delivery of that line does not assuage any suspicions that I have about the fact that you want to fuck this duck. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah, it's
mm.
so kind of so she strokes Howard's chest until his feathers kind of like there's got to be a name for that, but it looks kind of like a bird mohawk type thing.
Yeah,
He's clearly
he starts to
aroused.
like he clearly becomes aroused because his head feathers just start to stand up on
Right,
end.
right. Howard stops her before she can take off her shirt, presumably because he doesn't uh because featherless breasts aren't his kink.
Also, he's all out of condom.
He's also out of condom. Uh, Bev settles for a goodnight kiss, which we see in silhouette through a hanging sheet, as does Phil, Carter, and Dr. Jennings, played by Jeffrey Rush, who immediately becomes
No,
the
no, no, no,
most.
no, 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 no. Jeffrey Jones. Jeffrey Rush is a
Oh
very
shit!
different
Oh shit!
person.
Jeffrey Rush. I'm so sorry. My brain was like,
Don't do
let's
that to Jeffrey
let's
Rush.
autocorrect this to a less uncomfortable
You
actor.
don't want to think about this guy so hard. You
I
just
really
completely
don't.
change him to a
I've
different
had to
person.
look at him so much.
I know.
All right, let me take this again. Bev settles for a goodnight kiss, which we see in silhouette through a hanging sheet, as does Phil, Carter, and Dr. Jennings, played by Jeffrey Jones, who immediately becomes the most uncomfortable aspect of a scene that just narrowly avoided bestiality.
It's a hell of a thing to be able to say, but here we are.
Do we address the Jeffrey Jones in the room?
I mean, he just entered the room, so yeah,
Right.
we
Okay.
may as well. I mean, just up front, content warning at this point for mention of I guess child,
I guess CP.
mention of child pornography and mention of abuse of children and
Yeah. So Jeffrey Jones was arrested for possession of child pornography. My mouth doesn't even want to say it.
yeah.
And that's pretty much that. He had a bunch of it. He didn't stay in prison. I think he was just only there for like a hot second, right? Because we looked it up. We were like, oh, certainly he's still in jail. And he's
He
not.
never actually served his sentence,
That's
if I'm not
right. He just said
mistaken.
like,
He was probably in there like as like under intake. It was
yeah.
I guess he was first arrested or something. But what were the exact charges that were brought against him?
I'm not certain. I know. I think I sent it to you a while ago, but my brain just was like, let's not keep that information in here. Anyways, he's not a good dude. It's pretty gross. Unfortunately, he's in a lot of movies that I enjoy.
So many.
Yeah.
Like, it's painful the number of movies that he is in that are now that I now have to like watch with a like take with a grain of
Right.
salt because of him. Or I have to, or that I have to like, enjoy somewhat less because I know
Right.
he's in them.
Like Beetlejuice specifically is one that's hard for me.
And Ferris Bueller.
Ferris Bueller just becomes creepier.
Yeah,
It's
honestly.
way creepier. So now you too are aware of that. I'm gonna keep a talking. So the doctor explains that a laser zip zap zopped Howard to Earth, and that bing bonging it will send Howard back. After some touching goodbyes, the gang goes to the lab, arriving just after a laser malfunction. I feel like I skipped a paragraph. I did not.
Actually, can we
Sure.
real quick? So the specific charges, he was arrested in 2002 for possession of child pornography and accused by a 17-year-old boy of solicitation to pose for nude photographs. He pled no contest to a charge of soliciting a minor, as the accuser was 14 when the offense first occurred. So, and at the same time, the misdemeanor charge of possession of child pornography was dropped. So that's thanks to thank you Wikipedia for the wrap up there. He is still listed in a sex offender database as of last year.
I think he is working again, though. Not in like a mainstream sense.
I
but
hope
think
not.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
sorry, let's take it back to where you would.
The doctor explains that the laser zip zap zopped Howard to Earth, and that bing bonging it will send Howard back. After
Technical
some
terms.
technical terms,
Yeah.
I explain it just about as well as they do. After some touching goodbyes, the gang goes to the lab, arriving just after a laser malfunction. The police arrive, harass and strip Howard, and charge him with being illegal alien. Howard and
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
yes.
sure, he's certainly an alien.
Howard and Bev escape only to find Dr. Jennings, his flesh burnt, and as it becomes increasingly obvious, super possessed. Jennings narrates the process of becoming this creature's host in unnecessary detail.
The level of exposition that he just becomes exposition for like half an hour. It is bizarre. Like there was no other way for you to do this
during the car chase too. Like the car chase is
Yeah.
happening, he's narrating it. So the scene ends with Dr. Jennings, Bev, and Howard nearly crashing into Joe Roma's sushi, Cajun sushi, which like kind of sounds.
I want to go to this restaurant really badly.
Like it looks exactly like a diner on the side of a road, but sells sushi. Bev suggested coffee as a solution for the whole being possessed thing, and I'm inclined to agree with her. After freaking out their server, Dr. Jennings explains that he is actually one of the dark overlords of the universe. As abominable as Jeffrey Jones is, his performance is unfortunately really good. Like he strikes a balance between being goofy and creepy. It maybe is a little over the top at points, but the movie is that. Also, we get really cool 80s visual effects. It's kind of like what we see in Ghostbusters with the proton packs.
Yeah.
Which I'm a fan of. It probably wouldn't fly today, but I liked it.
No, for the era, the effects I thought were a lot of fun. Thought they were well done.
So Dr. Jennings proton blasts the ketchup and mustard jar to demonstrate his inner demon. We've already handled this tactfully, so I'm just going to skip over the number of pedophile jokes that I have listed here.
Fair.
Because I'm a mature big boy.
Real quick, in the comments here, somebody from YouTube, I'm not sure how to pronounce your username, VURFYI. I'm not sure what you mean by VUR. So if they want to comment back on that.
VURFYI?
Yeah, like after we had just commented that a moment ago. I'm not sure.
We're old here. You have to really spell it out for us. Or at least me. That's when the three good old boys come over to harass Howard and Jennings. A fight ensues. Howard runs across the countertop calling someone a cracker. Which feels like the second time we've had to deal with that on this show, and I'm fine with it. The denizens of the diner turn on Howard, preparing to cook this clearly sentient creature, an act that violates Article 53 of the Fourth Geneva Convention. Is that true? Fuck if I know. To my understanding, no American has ever read it.
God damn it.
But it is true. Bev lets it slip that Howard's her boyfriend, a romance that is illegal in all but 4 states.
I don't think she lets slip. I think she's actively trying to use that as a distraction. Like
Oh, you think it was like a I thought it was like a cry for like, don't hurt him. I love him.
Oh no, I took that as like I need to stop them somehow. How am I gonna get them to fucking do that? I know if they think I'm fucking this duck, they'll stop, and that's a weird thought to have.
No weird thing for Belinda's administrator to hear. Jennings intervenes when the movie's half-assed MacGuffin, a code card, is put into danger. I said like code card.
A little bit. It's fine.
What follows is, as described to Joe earlier, the moment in a video game when the player gets a new power and just has to destroy everything in sight.
Yeah, it gets full sandbox mode for a little bit there.
Jennings does this, aimlessly throwing lightning and fire around the diner. Like, even Howard's like, they get the point, Jennings. The scene...
Like, when your characters have to actively point out, like, shut the fuck up, that perhaps you're doing too much exposition.
The scene ends with Bev being Princess Toadstooled away. At this point, we're an hour 10 into the movie, and while it's not like a great movie, it was pretty watchable up to this point. The remaining 40 minutes, however, are an absolute slog. So we're going to yada yada a little bit. Dr. Jennings steals a tractor trailer, tossing Bev inside, intending to use her body to house one of his overlord bros. Hungry, he extends his quivering horned tongue from his mouth, plunging it into the cigarette lighter socket. and absorbing the truck's juices. A look of orgasmic delight on his face. Somewhere, Clive Barker gets a chub and does not know why. He knows.
He knows.
Cigarette lighter.
Oh, no.
We cut to Phil calling the cops fascist for stealing his baseball cap. ACAB, my dude. I like to pretend that scene was entirely improv.
Yeah.
We then see Howard kind of hidden pretty well among a bunch of like lawn statues of barn animals.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah. Although he's standing on one leg like a flamingo, but whatever.
Yeah,
I guess do ducks do that? Can they do that?
I have no idea actually.
I feel like they're too wide heavy. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like their legs are probably too stubby to make that actually work. Right?
We'll have a biologist come on the show and discuss it.
Get a waterfowl expert.
Yeah. He helps Phil escape, the two hiding out in a nearby garage where they find a ultralight aircraft, a half bike, half glider, and a libertarian's wet dream, as it exists in the illegal gray zone, needing no registration or pilot's license. Idiots.
Idiots. Fucking stupid.
How'd that town go for you guys?
Which one?
The libertarian town that they put together with only libertarians, and it got overrun by bears.
Oh,
you know about that one?
I think I have heard of that one actually.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that kind of thing has happened multiple times. It always goes wrong.
Bears fucking love it.
Just the bears can smell
Thanks for building this town for us.
The bears can smell the libertarianism, and they just go straight for the town.
You guys aren't going to restrict us in any way, so fuck it. It's a weirdly political episode.
Oddly,
which actually is appropriate for Howard the Duck the comic, but not the movie.
No, not the movie.
By morning, Phil has fixed the damn thing, which leads into what was an extremely difficult and expensive chase scene between the police and the ultralight aircraft.
I really want to know how much that scene cost. Like,
I think they said, aside from the duck costume, it's like the most expensive.
Oh, it has to be. Good lord,
it's super boring and long, and it like does nothing for the characters.
It's overly long and way too intensive. Like they land the damn plane thing on top of a moving truck at one point.
Yeah, they go under some bridges. Tim Robbins hangs off the bottom of it.
Yep.
He has to like fix the plane at some point.
Yep.
I'm like, this isn't Indiana Jones or like Mad Max. It's anyway. So like that we intercut between that and Jennings stopping at a power plant to like have a snack of the power plant. It just goes back and forth. There's like some funny bits, like Howard scares off some duck hunters.
I mean, that was pretty good.
I enjoyed that. Jennings firmly insists that his name is not Jack.
That was also good. I have no license. I am not Jack.
God, I hate that I enjoyed his acting.
I know.
It's mostly just filler until we get to the last 25 minutes.
That's, yeah.
So with 25 minutes left in the film, everyone arrives at that laser thingy. Snidely Whiplash. Oh, sorry, we'll try that again. Snidely Whiplash ties Bev to the table beneath the laser.
It didn't have any train tracks.
No train tracks, just laser. Howard and Phil gather a neutron disintegrator. Dr. Jennings agrees. Fuck me. I'm going to try this paragraph again. My brain just decided to like...
Rewind the play 5 minutes.
With 25 minutes left in the film, everyone arrives at the laser thing. Snidely Whiplash ties Bev to the table beneath the laser. Howard and Phil gather a neutron disintegrator, which is like in storage because reasons.
Yeah.
Dr. Jennings aims I think they say spectroscope at the Overlord planet.
Did they say spectroscope?
Which I can't be right.
That can't be. No, they're throwing science words at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's all that is.
That's why you gotta say like bing bongs and zip zops, because no one can argue with those.
You adjust the bling blong to zip bip
blip bloops.
Needs more zazz.
Definitely always more zazz. He is transformed into a Cronenbergian Dr. Wily. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
The vertebrae of the spine protruding through the lab coat. I was never a Mega Man fan.
I played like a little bit of Mega Man. Like, yeah.
Too difficult for my
simple. Yeah, I know. I never beat a Mega Man game. No, good lord.
Howard and Dr. Jennings have a high noon showdown with lasers, which ends with the Overlord getting exploded from Dr. Jennings' body.
Because science.
A Ray Harryhausen abortion crawls from the wreckage. A mixture of scorpion, spider, and vagina dentata. The claymation monster fires thorned penis tongues from its hands.
It sure does.
Catching Howard in one while using the other to restart the laser. so stupid.
It's
Like
absurd.
I know the science and work that went into it and how it has progressed. Like that stupid scene alone has helped so many films after it,
Mhm.
but that scene itself is dumb.
Yeah, it honestly is. Like it is.
I mean, it's kind of like it's a whoopsie doodle where like we were trying to do this one thing and instead invented penicillin. Like we were trying to do like a weird vagina dentata scorpion and instead we fixed CGI for the next 40 years. So
It's a happy accident.
there's a lot of happy accidents with Howard, but we'll get into it.
Okay.
With help from the dewormed Dr. Jennings, Howard is able to get back to the neutron disruptor and blast the Overlord. Howard then makes the decision to destroy the laser, preventing the arrival of future Overlords, but also eliminating his only means of returning home. How do you end this cluster duck? We
You just had to.
uh, we cut to the near future where Cherry Bomb is now a successful rock band. Howard is still their manager, and Phil, likely having been barred from science as a whole, like the entire field of science, is now a stage manager. Howard fucks around with the fly system, pissing off the local IATSE, and ends up on stage. I'm so happy I got the reference IATSE. And ends up on stage singing and dancing the song Howard the Duck, co-written by George Clinton of the Parliament Funkadelic.
That can't.
It feels wrong to say.
Cannot believe they dragged George Clinton into this. Just
Not wanting us to miss a single second of this killer performance, credits roll over the footage. And while I had already turned the movie off at this point in our initial viewing, on second viewing I realized there's a small clip that follows Howard and Bev's exit off stage. She compliments him on his performance before leaning in for a kiss. The screen fades to black before contact is made because seeing an unimpeded kiss between a human woman and a duck puppet is a line George Lucas is not willing to cross. Thus ends the first entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I hope you're proud of yourselves. The fuck was any of that?
Oh, good lord!
I hope you enjoy editing this one.
That's gonna be fun.
What time are we at?
We're at 52:50.
Fuck me.
It's fine.
Okay. Got a lot more to go.
Yeah, no, and there's a good bit we're gonna cut out of that as well.
Right.
So like,
I'll
yeah,
just
that's fine.
power through. So that's Howard the Duck. There are people responsible. I'd like to hold them responsible, but like even the names that we have they're just barely attached to the project. So like the people who are actually responsible have gotten away scot-free.
Really?
Yeah. So like George Lucas was involved, but like not really. And Steve Gerber created Howard, but like he had like a meeting with the team.
Right. He didn't really have a big hand or influence on the film itself.
Yeah. I think there was one executive who basically was the scapegoat. And depending on which report you're reading, he either was fired or quit or resigned or whatever. And just...
was given the opportunity to resign.
Right. So the first thing I want to talk about in regards to Howard the Duck and those responsible is the comic.
Sure.
And to talk about the comic, you have to talk about shit-heel Dr. Frederick Wortham.
Frederick Wortham?
Yeah.
Okay.
I loathe this man. He wrote Seduction of the Innocent. This is the gentleman.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm familiar with this.
So he, for those who don't know, he utilized data, like fluff the numbers to
data.
Yeah. It caused a moral outrage that led to the creation of the comic book code authority. Basically saying that it was making children violent, vicious monsters, that was pornographic. Batman and Robin were gay, and I think EC Comics was the horror comic that the company, the horror company that sank because of him. It later turned out that like the comics he was referencing were like specifically pornographic comics, like
of course, yeah,
not superhero comics, but like
actual porn,
right?
Like specifically porn, not anything that was intended for kids to read.
I imagine some like 1950s little hooligan with like a Tijuana Bible in the shed. Anyway,
if you were at all familiar with Scott Nicewander, Nerd Sync on YouTube, he covered that
Tijuana Bibles?
no, no, he covered the what everything that led up to the creation of the Comics Code
Oh, okay.
Authority,
I'll have to check that out.
and
I am interested.
in pretty great detail, and it's an entertaining watch. Just everything by him is great. Just
I wanted to cover more stuff with Frederick Wortham, but it's hard because they only put forth like you. There's that, and then he had some stuff to do with civil rights, which may have actually been positive.
interesting.
But I distinctly remember listening to some podcast on evangelicals and him being involved in some shitty way. So
So you're telling me that we still can't get the fuck away from saving Christmas?
Yeah.
Is that where
Yeah.
we still are right
Yeah.
now?
because of this asshole. You know who I imagine when I think of Frederick Wortham is the like weird priest in I think Poltergeist 2.
I don't know if I've seen
He's got, like,
Poltergeist 2.
It might be Poltergeist 1. But anyway, he's got like the like flat hat and bad teeth. Anyway, not important. So because of the code, you weren't allowed to like mention monsters by name. You had to like dumb down the violence. Villains were not allowed to win. 1950s style like morality.
Sure.
But by the 70s, we had dealt with Vietnam and nobody gave a shit anymore. So the code started to relax, and Marvel wanted to try some new things. It tried everything. It did like we don't know what's going to sell, so we'll try kung fu, we'll try horror, we'll try blaxploitation. And, one of the horror comics was called Adventure into Fear, and it starred Man Thing, who is Swamp Thing-esque, but less sentient. It's basically just like a collection of moss that's big and scary, and like I think the catchphrase is like I'm gonna fuck it up, but to paraphrase, any man who knows fear knows Man Thing, or some shit like that. Like he basically like makes your fear. He's like a scarecrow type dude.
Okay.
So because he doesn't talk, or it doesn't talk, they have a lot of supporting characters, and one of those characters was Howard the Duck.
Excellent.
Who went on a magic mystery adventure with them, and the so I should mention he was created by Steve Gerber and Val Merrick, let's say.
Okay.
But the editor at the time, Roy Thomas, who was like friends with Steve, hated Howard, and he's like, "You're killing him off at the end of the story." And Steve's like, "Fine." So he basically like at the end of the first Thor, where Loki just gets chucked into the abyss. That's what they did with Howard. But the demand for more Howard was
Surprisingly high.
Yeah, so like I guess we'll just have him fall out the other side of that abyss. And he got like a bunch of guest spots on the same Adventures in the Fear, and then he eventually got backup stories, which I don't know if people know what that is, but it's you have like the main story in a comic, and then the backup story is like 3 or 4 pages with a separate character. It may be related to the main story, but most time it's not. It's basically, but they don't do them too much anymore. But back in the day, it used to be a way to like test out this character to see if people like it.
Okay.
Or people like this character, but not enough for them to have their own series. So we'll give them.
So I imagine that's where he was kind of falling because there was already demand.
Yeah. So because of those backup issues, he eventually got enough fandom to get his own series.
Wild.
Yeah.
And so is that where they end up sending him to Cleveland? Then is he
Yes.
comes out the other end of this abyss and lands in Cleveland?
He immediately comes out the other end of the abyss. I think he might have been a guest, like a backup story, but like he ends up in Cleveland. Nobody's like, this is a duck person, and I'm a cop, and like fuck you. And he has a couple of adventures where he tries to do the good thing, but then, like for example, he runs into Bessie the vampire cow. That like Dracula got a thirsty, drank a cow, turned a cow into a vampire, and then Howard hunted down the vampire cow, did the thing you do to vampires, and then the police are like, "Why'd you kill that fucking cow?" So I think the first issue starts with like Howard getting out of prison
Because he killed that cow?
because he killed that cow, and then he
God damn it.
Yes, content warning for suicide. But the first issue of Howard is him like trying to find somewhere to kill himself.
Oh God.
Yeah, it just opens on him like, where is a high enough place for me to kill myself? That giant rock there. There's I don't know Cleveland well enough, but like some watery area has a giant rock pillar sticking out. And he's like, yeah, I could probably die if I jump from that. Only discover it's like a wizard's tower because
Sure.
Uh,
Why not?
specifically, I'm probably gonna say this wrong, but the wizard prorata. It's a accounting term because prorata is a cosmic accountant. He also fights characters like his arch enemy, Dr. Bong, not like a water bong, but like a bong bong.
The sound,
like a bell bong.
like
Yeah.
yeah.
uh, for those worried about Bessie the Cow, don't worry, she comes back. She's currently a member of Deadpool Inc.
Excuse me?
Yeah, Bessie's doing fine. She hangs out with, although she's more humanoid now. Like before, she was literally a cow with like a cape. Now she like walks. She's bipedal.
Sure. Okay.
She's doing all right for herself. And then throughout his adventures, so when he goes to the tower, that's where he meets Beverly Switzler, which is she was also captured by
by pro rata by compound interest, the wizard.
Right, the cosmic wizard.
Right.
So those initially the comics kind of fantastical like comics do, and then it becomes a little bit more political the more Steve Gerber is allowed to do whatever the fuck you want.
Well, you figure you're going to have to start fantastical whenever your protagonist is a surly talking duck
who smokes a
cigar in Cleveland.
Yeah. So I don't think you can talk about Howard the Duck without talking about the many lawsuits.
Yeah. Okay.
So Disney sued Marvel because Howard looked too much like Donald Duck.
There are some early images of him where he is pantsless and wearing blue and so on and so forth. Yeah, I could see how that would happen. I had wondered whenever I saw those older images, like did they get in trouble for that?
They did, and I think I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but I think in other countries the word for Donald Duck was basically, or the word for duck was basically Donald Duck. Like there's too much I have no idea.
How the hell do you get so big in a country that your fictional character becomes eponymous for a species?
Right. Yeah. So like your duck looks too much like duck and our duck, so you got to change that duck. They specifically wanted him to wear pants.
Sure.
And the one that makes me uncomfortable is they wanted his webbed feet to be finger toes, which
I don't like anything about that.
If you look at the like Marvel MCU version of Howard, he does have like finger toes.
Really?
And pants obviously, but yeah.
Well, I mean, the pants I expect.
The pants are fine.
Yeah, the pants are fine.
Like, and depending on who the artist is, he's also drawn either with webbed feet like a duck, or finger toes, or somewhere in between. So, Marvel ended up firing Steve Gerber, the creator of Howard, because along with the comic, he was also writing strips for the magazine. Okay. And he was coming in late or like giving it to them like the day before print. And they fired him. It kind of, to me, sounds like they had the excuse to fire him because he was late, but also because he was a huge pain in the ass. Like, he sounds like the kind of guy that is constantly fighting the system, no matter if the system's helping them or not.
So he's just like contrarian.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know that for a fact. He's also since passed, so I can't ask him. But from what I've read,
I'll get the Ouija board.
Would you?
Yeah.
Like, even just reading the comic, I'm like, this guy sounds like he'd be a pain in the ass to work with. He reminds me a lot of Ralph Bakshi, as does Howard. So, have you heard of Fritz the Cat?
Yeah.
That whole I don't know when Fritz came out, but like, it's an animal who is anthropomorphic, who comments in society, who's kind of a douchebag and gets into trouble.
Does he also smoke cigars?
He drinks.
He drinks. Okay.
Yeah.
There's some similarities.
Yeah. Although Fritz is way hornier. Anyway,
I don't want it.
You would not enjoy that movie then. At least they're all animals in that one.
Okay, that's I mean, that's a little better. That's at least
Yeah.
I'm not imagining Leah Thompson fucking a cat.
But I feel like if you got Steve Gerber and Ralph Bakshi in a room, they would very much get along. What do you want? Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll leave this blank space here for cutting.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can cut this out. That's fine. Yeah, go for it. We're gonna hang out. We'll hang out and talk to anyone who's in the chat. I forgot to mention earlier that when we were discussing duck nipples, Becca jumped in and said, "Well, why do you have nipples, Joe? You can't just ask someone why they have nipples. Jeez." So,
do we have anybody in chats anywhere?
No, the only person that's popped up in the chat besides Becca was that one person who said VUR FYI, and I have no idea what that means.
VUR? Very unruly rascallions.
So I'll be honest. I did try to.
Like, do a quick Googler?
I did a quick Google. You may have noticed I was typing very quietly at one point. I was typing define VUR, and the the answer I got was vesicuretal reflux, which is when pee moves backward from the bladder to the kidneys.
Oh no!
I don't think that's what this person is saying.
I would hope not.
That's a bad day. I don't like it.
Pee go backwards?
Pee go backwards.
Oh,
Pee no go backwards.
that's
Don't
awful.
do that. No.
Jesus Christ. Oh, shit.
Christ almighty. No, that was good.
So I'm a little concerned about the length, just because the fix is about that long as well. I really don't want a two-parter.
I don't think this is gonna be a two-parter.
Okay.
I think we have enough that we can trim and cut that it'll be okay. It might be a long episode, but it'll be fine.
All right. Well, then I won't cut anything from the. I mean, the only thing I have left is George Lucas and then the Great Duck Heist. Oh, that's a lie. I also have production, but we can get through that.
When you guys are ready for a lunch break, you're welcome to some chili.
Chili? Ooh, delicious. Thank you.
I think I fucked myself again where I didn't give an act break. Let's
We'll do it after the scores and whatnot.
yeah. I mean, I made an act break for Act 3, but no Act 2.
It's fine.
So I left off with what? Steve Gerber being a contrarian, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said, or had you already jumped forward to like Fritz the Cat? Wait,
I was talking about Ralph Bakshi, Fritz the Cat.
Yeah.
I'll jump back into Steve suing Marvel.
Oh, yeah.
You good?
Just give me like another 30 seconds to put the stuff back in.
Okay.
Sure.
I think after I go through the production, then we'll break.
Yeah.
Even that might be too far in, but that's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. We decide where the fucking breaks go. Jesus. Oh.
Okay.
Ow.
Thank you.
Bushy.
Great.
Where were we?
So we were talking about Steve Gerber and Ralph Bakshi and how they would be real good drinking buddies / cigar smoking buddies. So I can't remember exactly why Steve sued Marvel, or well, I do, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, why?
So
What's the reason here?
He was suing Marvel for rights to Howard, but
okay.
And things have changed a little bit since then, and I don't want to get on like a comic book history tangent, but it used to be that like if you worked for Marvel, you worked for hire, right? Like you worked for hire.
Yes.
They owned any characters that you created. and I feel like if it was the 70s, so that would have been like pretty well known. So I don't know why he thought he could sue for rights to Howard, but he did. He did sue,
Hmm.
and they did settle out of court, but I think partially because the movie had started to be in production, and they're like, we don't need to deal with this while we're also in production for Howard the Duck movie.
Yeah, sure.
Um, at the same time, Steve created Destroyer Duck for Eclipse Comics, which either has been bought up or doesn't exist anymore.
I say I've never heard of it, so
They did some cool stuff. I think Jack Kirby created it because he was also tired of like comic book rights shit. But
yeah.
Steve specifically created Destroyer Duck to help pay for the lawsuit, which I only bring up because it leads into the Great Duck Heist, one of my favorite, most petty moments in comic book history.
Oh, okay. I'm excited to hear this.
So Marvel and Steve Gerber kind of like had an on again, off again relationship till he passed.
Mm.
I think in the 90s, they were trying to court him back to writing Howard because Howard still was popular, but the fans only wanted him to write Howard.
Okay. Wait, they didn't want anyone else to tackle the character?
The fans wanted Steve Gerber to write Howard.
Okay.
Because he was so closely associated with the character. And like
Sure.
some other people had written him, but it just didn't have the same zazz.
Mm.
So Marvel asked Steve if he'd write a Howard Spider-Man issue.
Oh, God.
But he was concerned that, like, so he at the same time had already planned to write Destroyer Duck and Savage Dragon as a team up issue. And he didn't want, like, one duck to steal the other duck's thunder. Eric Larson, who created Savage Dragon, I think this was at Image Comics, I want to say. He's like, well, why don't you do like an unofficial crossover? And Steve's like, I like that idea. They'll never go for it. But they did because they're stupid. They're like,
wow,
yeah, sure. If you want to write it, like, sure. So he started working on the two comics, and he found out that the reason they wanted him to come back was they wanted him to like basically launch this crossover series and then not invite him back for the rest of them. So like Howard would go on to like Howard and Gambit, Howard and
Howard and Gambit's a weird combination.
Yeah, really, like Howard and any character is a weird combination.
Yeah,
except for Raccoon. Like,
no, that makes a war. That yeah. I would actually really like to see.
Yeah, the following volume, they team up of Chip Zdarsky's run. Anyway, the only run of Howard that I've really enjoyed is Chip Zdarsky. Some of the older comics I do enjoy as well, especially Howard running for president. Yep, he lost, by the way, because there's a scandal in which he and Bev were caught in a bubble bath together, and it was leaked to the press.
Yeah, that's not realistic anymore.
It's not realistic, and also specifically the picture was doctored. Because they're like, look at it. The font's at both ends of the tub. Anyway, so this pissed Steve off, right? Like, he's like, oh, you're just bringing me into like, launch this thing, and then you're telling me to fuck off.
Yeah.
Right. So he's like, all right, well, I've got a very petty idea. So within the comic, Spidey and Howard and Beverly track the villain to a warehouse. I don't even, it's such a lame villain. I don't even remember. I think it was like Elf with a gun or something like that. That's a real character.
I know. We've discussed Elf with a gun in the past, I believe.
Well, in the Image comic, Savage Dragon and Destroyer Duck are led to the same warehouse. The villain, seeing this like multitude of ducks, starts zapping thousands of anthropomorphic ducks into the warehouse. So you have like a Superman duck, the esque duck, and you have like all these different ducks just like filling this warehouse. So once the villain is defeated, the place begins to crumble. Spidey grabs Howard and runs. Savage Dragon grabs the real Howard and runs. And then in the Image comic, he and Destroyer Duck comment on like, why did those guys grab a clone duck? So in the Image comic, Steve Gerber stole Howard and Beverly and left Marvel with a lifeless clone. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like, I've looked at the panels and I'm like, one, how did you get away with this? Like, how did Marvel not like throw a shit fit? And like clearly it was editorial, like not paying close enough attention.
Well, clearly, yeah, like somebody absolutely dropped the ball in there, which I guess is the entire point of like the duck shell game that you've put together in this giant warehouse full of
Right.
ducks.
Yeah,
But
distraction.
yeah, holy shit, how did that not result in a lawsuit?
I don't know, but I love it so much.
That's bonkers.
I mean, like Marvel went on to do Howard comics like they planned to do, and like,
sure.
but for Steve Gerber personally, he's like, well, that's not the real Howard.
Yeah. For the rest of his life, he can claim like, no, that wasn't Howard. Howard went that way.
Yeah, Howard's over with Savage Dragon.
Yeah.
And
wow. Absolutely amazing.
And those 90 comics in general, I'm not a fan of 90s comics, and they're probably garbage. I didn't read any of them, but that brings us to George Lucas.
Okay.
Who gets the most flack for this movie?
And seems a little weird.
It is weird, and I just read it's his biography, George Lucas. I think it's George Lucas: A Life or something like that. It's pretty good, but it explains that George Lucas at that moment in time was enormous, right? So not only did he have the Star Wars trilogy out, which ended in 83.
83, yeah.
He also had the Indiana Jones series. Temple being released in 84, I want to say. And everyone was wondering, like, what's going to be your next project? Like, he hadn't directed a movie since the first Star Wars. He'd only produced. And now I wish he'd kept it that way, but it's fine.
I think most of us feel that way.
So he had really early on, he had pitched Howard the Duck to the people who went on to write and direct it. William Hike, which we both
desperately want to pronounce as Yuck.
And Gloria Katz, who are, I think they're married. I think they're still married.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's right.
But they were old pals of George.
Oh, they worked with him on American Graffiti and everything. Like they had known each other for quite a long time.
Since college.
Yeah.
Like they attended the same parties. Like they were really good friends.
Yeah.
So like forever ago, like American Graffiti days, he's like, I really like this Howard the Duck comic. Like it's funny. It's got like a film noir / absurdist vibe, which to an extent it does. And that is how I very loosely connected noir to the intro. Is
yes,
he said the word noir, and I said yes, please.
I will run with this one reference.
So he had wanted to do it at the same time Marvel was desperately trying to sell the Howard Duck rights for whatever fucking reason. I mean, he was kind of big at that moment, but not so big. I'm like, you could have sold any of your characters. Maybe they were like nervous to sell the bigger characters. Like,
probably, yeah. I feel like at that point, like you're not getting into like the early 2000s. Like we have to sell off the rights to the big names, or else we're gonna tank.
Right. I mean, they did bankrupt, but they still.
I mean, you can declare bankruptcy and not collapse. Yeah. Like like that happens all the time.
Yep. Unless you owe student loans.
Unless you owe student loans.
So George, it was a mixture of like he wanted to help out his buddies. He also loved himself some merchandising. I mean, keep in mind this came closely after Ewoks: Caravan of Courage. So he's like,
yes, please remind people that exists.
So he's like, yeah, like absolutely, I will. We will do this movie where action figures are a possibility.
Yeah, if it has even like a faint hint of that toyetic stink, he's gonna run to it.
So even with all that in mind, they didn't want Howard to be the way that it came out. Like they wanted it to be funnier with like darker moments. They also wanted it to be animated.
Right. Yeah, they had originally wanted it to be animated, but there was a desire from the studio to have it be like coming out that next summer. It would have taken years to animate.
Specifically, Universal's the company that put it out.
Yes,
and they wanted those Lucas bucks, right? So
ASAP.
Fox had Star Wars. I think Paramount at the time had Indiana Jones, and they're like, well, we want our own franchise, and with George Lucas attached, because he says he's a money bank person, and we need to fill the summer slot with Duck, and animated movies didn't sell very well.
But Duck movies historically crush in the summer. It's just
That's what the people want to see. So I'm going to
Oh,
quote.
yeah, July. I need to get in to see my duck movies.
I'm going to quote from Gloria Katz specifically about the response to this duck movie. It's a film about a duck from outer space. It's not supposed to be an existential experience. We're supposed to have fun with this concept, but for some reason, reviewers weren't able to get over that problem.
Maybe because you made it really unclear as to whether or not Leah Thompson wanted to fuck this duck.
Well, Steve Gerber also had a response to that.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, he declared that the comic book series was exactly an existential joke, stating, "This is not a joke. There it is, the cosmic giggle, the funniest gag in the universe, that life's most serious moments and most incredible dumb moments are often indistinguishable only by a momentary point of view. Anyone who doesn't believe this probably cannot enjoy reading Howard the Duck." Which,
yeah. All right.
so in regards to it being animated, or not being animated rather, Lucas was like, "Well, I got this ILM. It can do things."
They can do things. Yeah.
And
So
then-
hence came the puppets and the
Yeah.
costumes.
which, to be fair, are groundbreaking. Like,
Yeah, genuinely, like the level of expression they're able
Yeah.
to get out of this damn duck is wild.
like reading the George Lucas book, he oftentimes, maybe not in a good way, but like oftentimes pushed ILM to do more than they were capable of.
Sure, I'm not surprised.
And
And this is one of those examples, I'm sure.
everything they've done is one of those examples.
Yeah,
If George
it's-
Lucas is involved, like behind the scenes, it's an utter disaster, but they make such giant leaps in technology each time they do something stupid like this.
Amazing.
Like, and George was never happy with it, or wasn't happy with it, but we got like the dog fights in the Star Wars movies are ridiculously awesome.
Yeah.
And that's through ILM busting their ass. And like the Howard costume it's pretty, like his face is very expressive, even if it is a little creepy.
Oh, it's unnerving at a number of points, but it is also like wildly engaging.
Yes, yeah. For me, I've narrowed it down to specific, and we'll talk about this in the critique. Specifically, the thing that makes me upset about the costume is that the eyelids are flesh colored.
Yeah, that's uncomfortable.
It-
but like at the same time, like I guess if you're thinking about a duck,
Yeah.
like are they going to put feathers over his eyelids?
We'll talk about it. I have some suggestions.
Okay, cool.
So some other things that happened. So originally, Robin Williams was going to voice Howard.
That's what?
He was originally going to voice Howard, but the issue is that the way that they filmed Howard, they recorded the live action first, and
Yeah.
then the actor had the dub over the duck lips. It was just too hard for it to be the reverse way.
Mhm.
And they had considered Ed Gale, who's the person inside the puppet, for the voice, but it didn't like match up with what they wanted, and it was also
Didn't
like
the-
super muffled. within
Didn't the
costume.
puppeteer end up doing it? Like I remember like, that DVD extra video you sent me, sort of something about the, or like Ed Gale had said something about the puppeteer who was doing a lot of the like the actual motion and
I think the
puppeteering
puppeteer
was,
did the
or maybe that was just the
On-set,
version
yeah.
where he was like speaking through a microphone that was coming through a hidden speaker there, so Leah Thompson or whoever else in the scene could hear and interact properly.
yes,
Because you couldn't hear shit that Ed was saying through that mask.
right, and they got. I had it typed somewhere and I think I deleted it. They got a Broadway actor to come in.
Oh,
Like I don't hate the voice.
it's not
It's n-
great.
It's not the Howard from the comic book.
Yeah, like tonally,
It's a little cartoony.
yeah, it definitely comes across as cartoony. I would agree with that.
But Robin Williams, being known for his improv, was like, Huh,
Oh my god.
nope.
Could-
that would have been pretty cool. but-
So, given some of the production delays and whatnot that took place, just like with trying to improve upon like the performance
Yeah.
for Howard, like recursively as these things were going on, I can only imagine what a nightmare it would be to have to then redo a whole bunch of shit to make up for
Oh
Robin
my
Williams'
God, yeah.
improv.
because it would all
like,
be gold.
It would be good, yeah. you'd have so much great material to work with that like you'd feel beholden to have to actually do it at that point.
Like, I guess the other way to do it would have been to record his stuff first, and then the puppeteer would sync up with the audio as it's playing. I don't know. I don't know how you would do that.
Maybe.
I mean, the best way is to take Robin Williams and teach him how to be a puppeteer. And let him
send him to Jim Henson school.
Send him to the Henson school. I don't know if that exists, but it should.
It should,
And
really.
he will learn how to duck talk, and it'll be great.
Oh my god, I love that idea. Just give Robin Williams a chance to like learn how to operate all these puppets and like give him a little crash course on Sesame Street or something.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, you had like Frank Oz did Yoda.
Yeah.
He was a puppeteer.
Mhm.
Originally, they wanted someone else to do the voice, but then George was like, "It's really good.
It's really
Like,
good.
matches."
It's Frank fucking Oz. Just
But like at the time, it was like, it wasn't Frank Oz. It was Jim Henson's second in command.
oh,
Yeah, like he wasn't famous at that point.
Mhm.
Um,
that's true.
it's like,
yeah,
as the guy who does Miss Piggy's voice, which is amazing. But
it is
anyway,
amazing.
a couple of other quick factoids. So we've already talked about Jeffrey Jones, but
Yep.
he suggested the slow mutation of his character from Sunburn to Cronenberg.
I will say the effects work on that was
Mhm.
amazing. Just
Yeah. His character build, and also like it's a very slow progression. Like it's not like phase 1, 2, and 3, 4. It's
you
like
really like it is subtle the
Mhm.
differences in some cases, and then by the time it's like full fledged, like
Mhm.
you see like his cheekbones have
Yeah.
completely changed. He looks grotesque.
even in the diner scene alone, it slowly changes. And
She took my eggs.
uh, so fuck him. But like, good idea.
It
And
was a good idea.
from what I understand, he did a lot of the, like keeping up with what makeup needed to be, because films aren't shot in order.
No.
Surprise.
Yeah, yeah, because he had to think about where he was in his transformation every time because they weren't shooting it in
Yeah.
sequence.
And I wouldn't think that would work out, but it did. And then once again, I just want to mention how awesome Ed Gale is.
Wonderful.
Just like
Just the the physicality he brought to that performance
Mhm.
is one of the reasons why like the Howard puppet and suit works. He deserves so much praise for that.
although speaking of the costume working, it was one of the first times they had done wireless puppetry.
Yeah.
So they had like radio controllers and shit, and anytime like a plane would go by
Yeah.
or something,
Someone's garage door was
yeah.
open somewhere, and
Yeah,
the
and
duck
the-
mask starts
it's just-
freaking out.
which like
Just-
where's that footage?
I really want to see those bloopers.
Oh my god. But
No, ain't technology fucking great?
it's like again, I've been reading the book and listening to the problems they had with R2. I'm like, I would have never known just watching the movie. Like, yeah, R2 was a piece of shit. Like, we hated that fucking droid. It was just a nonstop problem. And like Anthony Daniels just basically had to be like picked up and dropped off places.
Yeah, you basically just put Anthony Daniels on a hand truck and just kind of
Yeah.
roll him off somewhere.
But so like Ed Gale would do like the reason the performance between Leah Thompson and Howard works is because she's like we acted off each other. Like
Yeah.
Ed Gale's an actor.
He's absolutely, and he deserves that recognition.
Yeah. That is awesome. And the last thing I want to point out is that Howard is part of the reason why Pixar exists.
Really?
Yeah. So Pixar was originally a subsection of, I want to say, ILM. And they wanted to get into like animated features or animated films in general.
Okay.
And George was like, there's no money in that. You need to do XYZ, just basically being like a support system for ILM, and like work on specific effects. And they did that, but then at the same time, I forget the guy who was in charge would also hire people like, yeah, I need to hire this like visual movement expert, and then he would like assign him to do like Pixar shit.
Huh.
So like at one point, so George Lucas funded all of his movies himself. because he wanted complete creative control,
Of course, yeah.
which sometimes worked out. I mean, in the long run, it definitely worked out. And there were points throughout his life where like Lucasfilm and ILM were not looking so hot. And one of the things that had to go after Howard tanked, he's like, I hate this part of my company anyway. I'm selling off Pixar. And Steve Jobs was like,
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Check, please.
Yeah.
Just,
And
and here we are.
Yeah.
You know, after the journey that they've taken to eventually end up with Disney, here we are.
Yeah.
That's bonkers. I had no idea that there was a connection to ILM there.
As they also own Lucasfilm now. So, or do they?
Yeah, that kind of came like backwards,
Yeah.
full circle, huh?
Do they own the Lucasfilm or just the properties? Anyway,
I think, regardless, yeah, it's kind of not important, but
yeah, like Lucasfilm is Star Wars and
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. They own both those. So yeah, that's the journey to Howard, the Howard that we have now. Good. Yep. That's a duck movie. God. Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll come back with the dazzled stats.
We'll talk about the stats. We'll get into how what worked, what didn't. Well, and we'll fix this.
We will.
All right, see you in a minute.
All right. I don't know if anybody's on the Instagram, but we're gonna take a quick break on here, and then we'll come back.
So, I think we got a comment from a Russian bot.
Nice.
Because the name is in Cyrillic, and what was typed is a bunch of nonsense letters and then .site. So
sweet.
Cool. We made it.
Did you invite them to guest?
What, the Russian bot?
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Oh, excuse me. Of course, of course, my sneeze is what spikes. There we go.
I don't even want to know what time we're at.
Don't worry about it. Like, again, there's a bunch of stuff in there that we're going to cut out, including like Belinda popping in.
Did you want to chili?
I think I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until we're done recording to eat. I think. Eep. Whew. I should get more city water. Corn carvers.
Gotta prevent you from masturbating.
Are you telling me you haven't just been jerking it this whole time? You okay there?
Yeah, it's the chair.
Ah.
Okay. Cracker. Tea.
Give me another cracker. Nothing in Trouble is almost at 150 listens.
Nice.
I want to see the Batman one get up at 200.
You watch Peacemaker yet?
Not yet, no.
I haven't either. I enjoyed Suicide Squad, so
I thought it was great. I fucking loved that movie.
I don't know why people gave it hate. Like, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I remember when we were talking with the You Hate to See It guys, and they were just like, that was such a piece of shit. And it was like, no. I thought that was excellent.
What part of it was bad? Because it was all good.
It was all good.
There's some muddiness, but like,
Yeah, it's not perfect, but like nothing is.
I mean, of the DCU, it's pretty damn good.
For real. I'm excited about the Flash movie though. If it fucking erases the Snyder Bros, I'll be so happy.
I will be so happy to hear the cries of toxic fandom.
There are rumors flying about that apparently Michael Keaton's going to continue sticking around as Batman after that.
Batgirl movie, I think, is what I saw.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yep.
don't know how that's gonna work, but all right.
Give me Batman Beyond. I want a Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne.
I don't know if you'd be. Why did I put a pen on myself? I don't know if you'd be into it or not, but there's a comic book series called Curse of the White Knight that's written and drawn by this guy named Sean Murphy.
Mhm.
And he's very clearly like grew up on the Batman we did,
Mhm.
like the animated series and the Tim Burton's.
Yeah.
And it's basically like, what if the Joker found medication to make him sane?
Oh, interesting.
So it's like Joker's more sane and Batman's more authoritarian.
Mm.
And like, because it's his universe, he just does whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
And he's working on volume 3 right now, and it's basically Batman Beyond. He's like, yeah, so this is a really poorly kept secret, but that's what we're doing. Like, the art is amazing, the story is amazing. The second volume's good, but it basically like redoes the Azrael Nightfall story, but without Bane.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's good. But I'm like, Azrael's always kind of pissed me off. Like, just punch this guy in the face. But I do recommend. Let's look at that. What do you mainly use for your gamings?
What now?
What do you use for gaming? Like what?
Oh, I mean, I'm mostly a console gamer, so I play on Becca's Switch, and then I have an Xbox One.
Let's see if you had the PlayStation.
No, I want one, but
I mean, I haven't for myself purchased a console. It's a PS2, so
we actually do have a PS2 in the house
still holds up.
with a multi-tap.
Um,
Not that we ever fucking get to use it, but
walkie-talkie. Still rolling.
we are back on the Instagrams. Hello.
I'm surprised we didn't lose connection during that entire thing because internet's been garbage.
Has it?
Well, it definitely was last night. All right, are we still rolling?
Oh yeah, we're still rolling.
Great.
You think I hit stop on anything?
I hope the many fans enjoyed the conversation about Sean Murphy's Batman White Knight universe.
I hope they liked the little quiet mention about how graham crackers are supposed to stop you from masturbating.
I forgot about that. It's history. What do you want me to
It
do?
is. Hey, Kellogg was a weird guy.
I'll tell you this much. It didn't work.
I just think about them cornflakes and get all riled up.
Jesus.
Idiots.
Hey, welcome back to DeRazzled. We're gonna jump right into some stats.
Yeah, we know we went a little bit long on the last bit here, so we're gonna dive right in. So which Razzies was this? Like numerically? I know this is early. This is the earliest film that we've covered in the Razzies history, if I'm not mistaken.
That can't be true. Is it true?
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Well, I don't have a memory, so
Because
I'll
because
just believe
the first Razzies was in 80,
yeah, that's correct.
and this is 86.
Yes,
We haven't done anything before that.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I think this might be our earliest one.
Yeah, you may have noticed we're not going in any kind of order with these.
Oh yeah, no. It's also the first one we are covering that tied for best worst picture.
It did. It did tie.
I keep wanting to say Cherry Orchard, but Chekhov had nothing to do with this.
No.
Cherry Tree, Cherry Moon.
Under the Cherry Moon.
Under the Cherry Moon.
Yeah.
It's a Prince movie.
Yes.
So we'll do the stats real quick. The general Rotten Tomato score is. Do you know this? Or you want to take?
I actually don't know this. No, I don't. I either didn't look it up or didn't retain it.
What would you guess?
I would guess 45.
General. The general score, not the audience score.
No, I mean it's,
14.
Oh, 14.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. How about the audience score?
Oh, audience score. So okay, critic score was a 14. Audience score. I'm gonna say. Oh, I'm gonna stick with my 45.
38.
38. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
People didn't like this movie.
Huh.
IMDb. Out of 10?
Okay. 3.2.
That's what I would give it, but 4.7.
Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Normally you're pretty good at these.
Normally I am. Yeah, I'm off my game today.
So
I put all that game into the noir.
It at the Stinkers, our kind of sister shitty movie award show. At the 9th Annual Stinger Awards, the Hastings Bad Cinema Society awarded Howard Worst Picture. In 1986, at the that can't be true. Is it? It's also the 9th Golden Raspberry Awards.
No, that
can't be
doesn't
true.
make any sense. Hold
Because
on.
there's also not enough. Yeah, you let me know what it is. But so at the Golden Raspberry Awards, Howard the Duck was nominated for 7 Golden Raspberries. It tied for Worst Picture with Under the Cherry Moon. I'm gonna hold for
It's the 7th.
numbers, right?
Yeah.
So in 1986, at the 7th Golden Raspberry Awards, Howard the Duck was nominated for 7 Golden Raspberries. It tied with Under the Cherry Moon for Worst Picture. It also won for things. What am I doing here, dear? Oh, I think these are nominations. I think this is one of the ones where like it won Worst Picture and then didn't really win anything else. So it was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor for Tim Robbins,
Not surprised.
but Jerome Benton from Under the Cherry Moon won.
Yeah.
It was also nominated for Worst Director for, is that right, Willard Huyck?
But Prince actually won for
Prince
the
won that
Cherry
one.
Moon. No, here it won for worst screenplay,
for worst
written by Willard Huyck and Gloria Katz, based on the Marvel Comics character created by Steve Gerber. It was.
I hate this next one.
Also nominated for worst original song for Howard the Duck, written by Thomas Dolby, Allie Willis, and George S. Clinton.
Don't forget it. It also won Worst New Star for the 6 Guys and Gals in a Duck Suit and Howard the Duck.
That's not fair.
You can fuck yourself.
That's no. I think that's a bullshit win right there.
Like the amount of work that those people put into. So Ed Gale is the lead actor in the Duck Suit. But there were other people as well.
Before him, there was also a 12-year-old.
There's also a 12-year-old
who backed out for like claustrophobic reasons.
Yes.
But I think Ed Gale deserves some goddamn praise for
Yeah.
what he went through in that suit and what he managed to put together.
I think they were going for the gag award, which oftentimes when Razzies go for the gag award, I want to puke.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty most of the time when they do that. It did also win for worst visual effects.
Yeah, which is
I don't know if it deserves
weird.
that one actually. I don't think that's fair.
I don't know what the other ones that were nominated, but
Invaders from Mars, special effects by John Dykstra, and creatures designed by Stan Winston, and then King Kong Lives, creature creations by Carlo Rambaldi. I don't know anything about either of those movies. I mean, like, I can see how like the visual effects for this one were a bit jarring at times, but I don't know that they would necessarily constitute being the worst.
No, I think they were just like, that duck looks scary. Let's shit on it, not being aware of the amount of work that was put into it. This,
I mean, it does. I mean, it is. It is unnerving despite all the work that was put into it.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think that award's
This
deserved.
isn't like Troll 2, where I'm like, that is a Halloween mask just replicated over and over again.
Like they didn't go to Spirit Halloween and
Right.
just grab whatever they could.
This doesn't have anything to do with Howard, but I do want to point out that for the Worst Career Achievement Award, Bruce the Rubber Shark from Jaws 2 and Jaws 3D won. Good for you, Bruce. There's a part in the George Lucas biography where it talks about Spielberg being like, George, go ahead and get in that shark. I'll be fine. We'll take a picture. And then closes the mouth of Jaws on George, and then it gets stuck. And Steve's just laughing and laughing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So let's go ahead and critique this film. Man.
Let's critique this film. Okay. So traditionally we start with what worked.
Mhm.
So
with the cast specifically.
I think we've already sung the praises of Ed.
I think Leah Thompson did a pretty good job.
I
Given the script.
honestly do too. I think her performance was engaging.
Mm-hmm.
It was believable under this. Well, I mean, except for the whether or not she wanted to fuck this duck. That part's still like
that.
She leans into that a little too quickly for any human.
I want to blame that on the clunky writing
Yeah,
personally,
I think that's fair. But no, I think she was. I think she really did a good job with it, and the fact that she actually took the time to like learn to sing, learn to play guitar.
she did. Yeah, I
Like,
forgot about that.
like she actually like.
It doesn't sound bad.
No, not at all. I mean, especially when you consider like I don't know if you saw this anywhere. I didn't actually have a chance to like cross-reference it, but my therapist said that apparently one of the people who was in the running for the role was a young Tori Amos.
I want to say it's true.
Yeah, like, they potentially were going to play Beverly in this movie. It was like, Tori fucking Amos, really?
Yeah.
Like, you had an actual musician who could have played this role, and instead you went with Leah Thompson, and I think they made a good choice.
Like the Howard the Duck song is awful, but
It's terrible.
The first song that Cherry Bomb plays, I'm like, I actually kind of like this. Like, I'll probably listen to that song.
Like the non-Howard the Duck
for fun.
stuff that they play is actually like kind of legit. Like, I'd go see that show.
Yeah, especially if it was at that bar.
The chain link fence was a bit much for me,
Right?
but like
little too Blues
otherwise,
Brothers, but
yeah. But otherwise, like, yeah, pretty cool venue. I'd grab a drink and watch a band there.
Feel uncomfortable saying this, but you know I'm gonna.
Yeah, I know what you're about to say.
His Jeffrey Jones's performance was good.
Like, yeah, I mean, he himself is reprehensible, but the performance was good.
Talent does not prevent you from being a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, as Hollywood has proven time and time again.
I think that's as far as actors go. Tim Robbins didn't work for me. We'll get to that.
No, we'll get to him and what doesn't work. What do we want to move on to? Themes?
Story.
Mm-hmm. Okay, story. What works for the story? I think that the setup and payoff of Howard becoming the band's manager and that becoming like how he gets by and lives in this world makes sense.
I think that as a plot thread works.
Yeah.
I think
that there are a lot of bumps along that road that are completely unnecessary, but that itself, I think, works.
If I remember correctly, Hike and Katz didn't want to do an origin story. Actually, no, I know that's true. They didn't want to do an origin story. They just wanted, like, Howard is weird and he's here.
They also wanted to shoot it in fucking Hawaii, so
they also wanted to shoot in Hawaii, which, like, I get it, but also not comic book accurate. But the whole opening in Duck World was shot after the fact.
Right. They didn't want to do any of that. Like, they felt pressured into doing that. So
I think I think you kind of got to have an origin when you're having like a human or a duck in a human world.
Yeah, no, I think for what this movie, like for the way this story works and the way this movie goes, I feel like you needed to establish that, and I think they got it done and out of the way quickly. Yeah. You know, they addressed it. It was enough.
Duck titties in there.
They could have done without the duck titties, but you know,
I specifically enjoy the part where he's watching various TV programs on his duck TV, and there's like an ER type show. I mean,
there is
ER,
but like a general hospital-esque kind of thing, yeah.
And the one nurse duck's hitting on the Dr. Duck, and he's like, he's dead.
He's dead.
Oh my god! Like I'm like, I would watch that show.
That almost feels like something that would be like pulled directly out of the Muppets or something.
Right? Yes, very much so. God, I don't think he was available at the time, but like it would have been fun to see what Henson would have done.
Oh my god, yeah.
I think he was either working on Dark Crystal or Labyrinth at the time.
Possibly. That would make sense.
I want to say, and this I've read so many different like things that are vaguely related to George Lucas lately that I'm like, is that this movie or that movie? But I want to say Henson worked on this and then took like what he learned from this and applied it to Dark Crystal.
Really?
That could be wrong though. Don't quote me on that.
All right.
I think it is. Story. I mean, I like the interactions between Bev and Howard for the most part, especially when it's just like casual talking.
Yeah.
And even the fight in front of the museum was entertaining.
Yeah, it was entertaining, and I feel like believable. I think like you really get a sense for Howard's anger and frustration in that moment, and
you get the sandwich guy. who's just on lunch break.
This poor dude, just like here trying to mind his own business, and this duck man is just
Yeah.
screaming about how fucked up his situation is next to him.
Did I mention the guy on the bus who's like, "That's a duck. That is a duck.
That is a duck." That guy, I really want to believe that guy was not at all part of the production. Like he was just on that bus, just driving past, and someone's losing his mind.
Howard like hops off the bus, and there's just like a fellow patron on the bus looks out the window and just like pointing at Howard, just astonished.
That is a duck.
And it feels so realistic. I'm like, did they not tell him that this was a duck movie?
This guy was just on his commute home.
Yeah.
And like film crew happens to be on. They give him a quick rundown of what's about to happen. Don't mention the duck at all. And then this duck walks on and then walks off the bus, and he's just losing it. He can't control himself. And Ike was just like, you know what? Get him.
Yeah. Get him sign a release. We're keeping that.
Keep the camera on the bus. Just
aside from that, not a whole. I do like the idea of the diner scene. I think it could have been polished. I think they're doing a little too much in that scene.
There's so much. They have so many balls in the air, like just exposition wise in that scene. It was probably twice as long as it needed to be.
Yeah, it's a pretty long scene.
But I do agree that like that is a good moment of like respite as they're like trying to figure out what the fuck is going on and where to go next, and and a good escalation of things moving forward.
So themes. It's hard to even like really come up with theme. I mean, there's the inherent like
fish out of water.
I was gonna say duck out of water, but yeah,
duck out. Oh right, duck. Damn it, not a fish. Not a fish. Howard's not a fish. Damn it. Fuck.
Neither is he a cat.
Are we sure?
Oh, he didn't drink milk out of that saucer.
He didn't drink milk out of a saucer. I don't know. Don't give your cats milk.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, don't do that. Where were we?
I don't know. I was thinking about that joke with like, duck walks into a bar. Got any grapes?
Jesus Christ.
Themes. So yeah, which I think works. I think they do pull that off. But that's it as far as themes. I'll hold off on the ones that don't work.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I guess production.
I like the 80s aesthetic of the set.
Sets. Yeah. The world that they built, like the Cleveland that they built, I think was fun, was fascinating. Like the from the introduction with the punk venue and the biker gang, fucking Satan sluts. That just wish we had seen them again.
Yeah, that would have been pretty fun. I mean, even the bathhouse wouldn't have been like a terrible location if it had worked narratively, but like narratively, it doesn't make any sense. I liked. I think I have to say, like the costume worked for me to an extent. The duck costume.
It did. As we mentioned, like it's very expressive. You get you actually are able to empathize with this duck man, which is a bizarre accomplishment.
So when they were designing the duck, there was somebody on hand to make sure that the duck costume didn't piss off Disney.
Yeah.
Specifically the shape of the head.
Oh yeah, no, it's distinctly like not the shape of Donald Duck's head.
Right. And like one of the weird things about the costume is the shape of the duck's head feels very bulbous. But,
yeah,
it works. I think most of the costumes work. Leah Thompson looked like a 80s rock.
Yeah, she was absolutely believable as a pseudo Joan Jett-esque character.
Great. Hey, what didn't work for cast?
Well, Tim Robbins. His whole character just does not. Like, I don't think it's just a Tim Robbins thing. No. Given like this is a very early career Tim Robbins, like he hasn't really cut his chops on like some of his bigger roles, but just like what he has to work with here is not good. Or
he walked on set, saw a duck, and was like, "All right, I got to bring duck energy."
And so he
walking, talking duck energy.
Yeah, and he went in a direction with it.
Yeah.
It's just,
And also the character's kind of written that way.
yeah. Again, like that is not it's not entirely his fault.
Unless he improved all those.
Unless if he improved that, then good lord, my dude.
It could have been.
Oh, yeah, that was
Like it's a wholly unnecessary character.
yeah. He doesn't really serve a purpose. Like
He's a vaudevillian plot device.
yeah, he changes. He's almost like a chameleon in some instances. Like it's like he's like the end to try and get Howard to figure out where how he got here. He's able to put a plane thing together for Howard.
An ultralight.
An ultralight. Okay,
Is that right?
sure.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but sure.
Michelob ultralight. Libertarians love it. Lives in the legal gray area.
When you're living in a community being eaten by bears,
surrounded by bears,
you need a beer that's not going to weigh you down with extra calories.
There's the commercial. Oh god.
Dear Michelob, pay us for this free ad spot.
I also need to find the name of that book so I can give them a shout out.
Yeah.
The Libertarian. I think it's called like A Bear Walked Into a Libertarian. Anyway, the rest of the cast was fine. Like they just kind of matched the energy without going overboard. The manager appropriate amount of sleazy.
Yeah.
There was that one Goomba from Mario Brothers in there.
There was that one Goomba from Mario Brothers in there.
He was there for a second. That made me happy.
Oh, the fucking Super Mario Brothers movie.
I
recognize his face like immediately.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that might be it for cast.
I think that's it for cast.
Oh,
yeah.
I keep forgetting to mention I think I cut that entirely from the not the walkthrough.
From the story synopsis.
Yeah. The cop. He had a decently sized part. The one sheriff dude, not sheriff. He's like
I don't remember him honestly.
He's also a plot device.
Yeah.
Story.
Oh God. Just the entirety of the of Howard trying to find a job.
Yeah.
Just really all those scenes are completely unnecessary. Like as entertaining as the social worker moment is, it is
there's that, and then there's do you remember the van drive?
the van drive.
So Dr. Jennings is like, hey, we can return you to Duck World, and then Bev and Howard have this heartfelt goodbye.
Oh yeah, when they're sitting in the back of the van. Yeah, I remember
they
that.
start it in the apartment, then they have it in the van.
Yeah, it does. It continues awkwardly long.
And then when we get to the lab, it's kind of you've already lost the steam from that, the emotional weight of it's gone.
Yeah.
I don't like the last 40 minutes really.
The new threat of the impending dark overlords or whatever coming from outer space is
not even that so much as Howard's trying to get to the lab, Jennings is trying to get to the lab, we're all trying to get to the lab, we're just cutting back and forth between these people and their journey to the lab.
It all takes so long. There's so much cutting in between and so much unnecessary stunts and shit that start happening that it really they could really just get there. Where we're going. We've been there before.
This might be blasphemy, but it reminds me of a scene from Rage of the Lost Ark, which is, I want to say, top 5 for me. But there's a scene in between scenes where Harrison Ford's on the trucks trying to get to the truck with the Ark, and it's an action sequence. Just
sure,
him fighting the Nazis. And you could remove that entire scene and it wouldn't do anything to the plot of the movie. It feels like someone watched that and was like, oh, we need to put an action-y scene right here to keep up the energy before the climax, which it works in Indiana Jones because it's Harrison Ford and he's super charismatic and fuck Nazis.
Sure.
But with Howard, it's we got this stupid not plane and I don't care.
Yeah. And the repeated Tim Robbins slapstick that's happening on the plane as they're going. like you expect me to believe that he knows how to assemble this whole fucking thing, and he
Right.
doesn't like clamp down the fuel line.
They have that like throwaway line where he's like, "Ah, my weekend hobby is gonna pay off." I'm like, "What are you
What
doing on the weekend?"
what are you doing on the weekends? Seriously.
Uh, yeah, it's. I mean, the stuff with Bev and Jeff Jones is a little better just because it's wacky as hell.
Yeah. Oh, that and we're getting further like experience with
Mhm.
that transformation
Yeah.
at least. Like we're seeing like the weird like tongue
Yeah.
appendage thing going into the. We see his feasting upon electricity.
Right.
It's
There's like funny gags in the power plant. Um,
no, yeah, like the moment where he's
Yeah.
just like, well, as they think he's an inspector, and he just walks up and
Right, right.
growls at someone's
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. But Bev gets completely sidelined in the everything after the diner, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
She becomes damsel in distress from that point on, basically.
they barely even give her any lines.
Yeah. Which apparently she was sick during a lot of that.
really?
Yeah, in that
That
DVD
might-
that
okay.
DVD extra, like she mentioned like the entire scene where she's on the table, like about to become the vessel for the
Oh
next
yeah,
Dark
yeah, I
Overlord.
remember that. Yeah.
She's like in between takes, just like they had to cover her in a blanket so she could keep
Yeah.
warm. She's hacking and coughing and sneezing all over the place.
That reminds me of a scene from a much better movie, Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay,
Chinatown? Whatever.
in Little China, yeah.
There's a scene where Kirk Russell had like the flu, had like a fever,
Oh no.
and it was like a little scene where one of the other dudes comes in and says like, "We got to go do this, this, and this," and then his character's supposed to jump up like, "Well, let's go do it then." And John, it's a John Carpenter film,
Mhm.
and Kurt Russell's just like, "Man, I cannot come to set today. Like, I feel like shit." And he's like, "It's fine. You got like one line. We're gonna like let you sit in the chair for most of it." And his performance is so bad because you can tell he looks like shit, he feels like shit, and he's trying too hard to make it
He's
act
become the human embodiment of shit.
right. He's like, "What you doing then?" uh, and yeah, maybe it's a good thing they didn't give any lines while she was on that slab.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
I wish we were talking about that movie. So for the production, what did not work?
I think they did not really prepare well enough for the duck.
Mhm.
Like the fact that they had 3 units running
Jesus.
throughout this production. Like that's one of the things that that Ed was talking about in that DVD extra
Mhm.
was the fact that they had a second and third unit because of the time crunch of everything. Like they had to rush so much
Because Universal wanted that sweet summer release.
they wanted that summer George Lucas money,
Yeah.
and so they had such a truncated time frame that they had to be running 3 different production units.
That's wild.
That's spreading your resources far too thin, and especially whenever so much of that is recursively redoing scenes.
Oh yeah, I forgot they had to redo a bunch of scenes.
Yeah, they had to redo like practically all of Howard's scenes to try and do them. Like everywhere they were, they would have to like throw a different backdrop down and do other scenes of his again, so they could do it better. Because Ed would do them better as they would go on.
Oh, because they initially had
They had the 12-year-old, yeah, and that's why there's like differences in his energy and like in Howard's movements and whatnot. Where there's times where he's like more bouncy and frenetic, and that's the kid, and there's times where he's more like together and like composed, and you can and his performance is much more believable. And that's
all the
Ed.
scenes in Bev's apartment. I'm like, your mannerisms are really good for a man who can't see shit.
Yeah.
And I assume that's Ed Gale's.
I would think so, yeah.
While the costume does work for me in a lot of ways, we did mention the like duck eyelids felt real weird.
It really did feel weird.
And they, there's other ducks in the movie, and they all have the same kind of like fleshy eyelids, which I hate. Which I haven't hung out with any ducks and checked out their eyelids lately, but I assume that it's probably it's like more or less accurate.
Probably. 'Cause, I mean, I can't imagine there being like discernible feathers on the eyelids of all things. Those are constantly moving and like coming,
Great. What do you think Howard deserves its accolades?
I mean, I'm tempted to say yes. Not all of them though, because I will stand by our what we said earlier, that
Mhm.
the effects don't deserve the hate that they get, and that the performers in the Howard suit don't deserve the hate that they're getting. Otherwise, yeah, probably. Though I haven't seen Under the Cherry Moon either, so I don't know.
True.
Yeah, so
I think it does. So when I first learned about Howard, it was introduced to me as one of the worst movies ever made.
that's a
And now that we've done this show, I'm like, I would say that's not true.
yeah. I would not say it's one of the worst movies ever made, but I don't think we have. I also don't think we have like a Wild Wild West situation here where everything else is just so
No.
good by comparison.
It's certainly a bad movie, but it's
Mhm.
not a milestone in terrible cinema.
No, God no.
I think it had high expectations because George Lucas's name was on it,
Yes.
and when it wasn't Empire Strikes Back, but Caravan of Courage, people got miffed. Such a stupid movie. Well, great, wonderful. Let's take I guess, a really quick break, and then
And we'll jump into how we're gonna fix this.
yeah, make it even better. Do. Oh yeah, I feel like the middle section was like real quick.
That was very
We
quick.
can
Oh yeah.
take some of the first chunk, add it on the top of this.
Yeah.
Do we want to address the rules?
Yeah, I think especially since we're coming back from a brief break, we should probably cover the rules.
Okay. I will pull those up, but we probably should hop back in because Jill should be here in like 45 minutes.
Oh shit! Yeah, we should probably do that. Lightning fast, break on your end. No one's gonna know this in the edit.
Is it recording? Who knows?
We got another comment from a Russian bot. It's
Sweet.
exactly the same thing that was posted last time.
Sorry, live friends. You got to go so I can message y'all. Bye. I asked Jill if she could come at 4:30. She mentioned something. She's like, "Can we order a pizza or something?" Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if they'll deliver.
I mean, I feel like the
I'm
roads
sure
are
something-
good enough that people would deliver at this point.
Great. Then I'm ready to hop back in.
Let's do it.
I'm not gonna worry about the fucking Instagrams.
Was there anyone still watching on Instagram?
There was one person I didn't recognize. Oh, right. I was bringing up the rules. Come on, I gotta get to Spice World.
Oh God.
Let's see.
I forget, was Spice World nominated?
I think it won.
I don't think it won.
Really? I don't know why I thought it won best or worst picture.
No, it was nominated in 1998.
Oh, so it's gonna be a snub.
It'll be a snub. Yeah.
Huh. What won?
an Alan Smithy film, Burn Hollywood Burn.
Right. Oh boy. Forgot we're gonna have to add the addition of the Cameron roll and the Jones roll. Cameron roll meaning it has to be a movie that has
Mhm.
a narrative structure, even if but poorly done.
Mhm.
And the
But-
Jones roll being that we get an automatic pass on recasting because they're a deplorable human being.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that. I don't really want to go into like what defines a deplorable human being.
Yeah, I don't think we have to. I think we well covered what makes him a deplorable human being early on.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Make this larger for my old person eyes.
That makes a fun waveform.
All right, I am ready.
All right, ready when you are. Let's go.
Welcome back to DeRazzled. We're going to take Howard the Duck. I want to remind you, this is the first movie in the MCU. You can't undo what you've done, Marvel.
No, no,
And-
that you open that. Doctor Strange opened that door. Now it is open forever. Okay.
You wanted those Spider-Mans, which I understand, but you got to take it all.
I mean, they were good Spider-Mans, but with great Spider-Mans comes great Howard the
Howard
Ducks.
Ducks. You also get the David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury. We should have
Yep.
opened with that. Just
Oh
talking about
man,
all the movies now part of the MCU.
the things that they now have to acknowledge and bring back in. Oh, I want to see Hasselhoff and Samuel L. Jackson.
Maybe we can do like a stinger and talk about all the movies that are now part of the MCU. Well, before we fix it, it's been a minute since we've ran through the rules of fixing a movie, so I'm going to do that. Plus our two new.
We do have two new rules. One that came about last episode, and one that came about this episode. So
So here we go. I want to point out that making a movie is an incredibly difficult process. I know this firsthand, and even if the movie is shameless cash grab, a film employs hundreds who do their sometimes thankless jobs because they love it.
yes,
I'm gonna skip over the quotes. So several quick rules. We can't suggest any fixes that the production itself wouldn't have had available at that time. The example we often use is if we can't suggest CGI for pre-CGI movies. We are allowed two recastings. Sort of. I'll get to it. The fixed version has to maintain the general story arc.
yeah, we can't deviate super far from the actual established story of the thing.
Right. And our two new roles. First, we have the Cameron role, which is we will not cover the movie if it is not a narrative story.
With a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Thanks, Saving Christmas for that.
Yeah. So there are some movies that have won Razzies that we won't cover because they're documentaries. Sorry,
Because they're propaganda.
heavily, yes, propaganda. And then the second role is the Jones role, which is if the actor is a deplorable human being, like true human trash, he does not count towards one of our two recastings
Yes.
because he is gross and should be deleted from history in general. So
Yeah.
Um,
So with that established,
in mind, let's talk about the cast. Sorry, I had to like move a bunch of documents around to find the roles. It's fine, take your time. I'm even looking at this point. Too far. My laptop might just be tired from looking at all those sketchy sites for Spice World.
possibly.
All right, so here's the cast I went with. I do need help with one of them though. Keep Ed Gale in the costume.
Absolutely.
Great job. Keep Leah Thompson as Beverly Schwitzler.
Sure.
The two recasts I have, well, the one recast and the one give me. For Phil, the scientist played by Tim Robbins, I've replaced him with Crispin Glover.
Ooh.
And for Jennings, I've replaced Jeffrey Jones with Tim Curry.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's good. He could absolutely crush
Like,
that role.
he needs to be a big character, but big in a different way than Phil is. And Crispin Glover is a very special kind of the fuck.
Well, plus you're also you're reuniting him with Leah Thompson after Back to the Future. So
right? Yeah,
hey, keep that train going.
that I'm sure will draw many a fan from Back to the Future. So the one I needed to cast and I couldn't think of one was a voice for Howard.
That's a tough one. I've been thinking about that for a while because, like you said, it's too cartoony. Like, it's not a bad performance by any stretch, but it is too cartoony for the tone the movie's going for, I think.
And in this fix, he's gruffer. Like it's in the realm of Danny DeVito, but not quite that cartoony. So I'm not sure who to go with that's Danny DeVito-esque, but not Danny DeVito.
In 1986,
Joe Pesci. That might be too much in the other direction.
Joe Pesci, I feel like Joe Pesci, I think, runs the risk of getting cartoony too, though.
Yeah. Also, he's kind of scary.
Yeah, he can be. God damn.
Chevy Chase.
No, God. Wait a minute. Dan Aykroyd.
I think Dan Aykroyd might work.
Dan Aykroyd could work. I think he can strike that balance between cartoony and serious enough with this. His voice is not that of. He doesn't have that Danny DeVito-esque quality to it, but it.
And he did Dragnet, so he has like a little bit of that noir-esque.
Yeah,
loosely noir.
He could channel some of that. Oh,
yeah,
that could be something.
Well, let's go with it.
All right, let's see. Hey, if we don't like it, maybe we recast it midway through.
Right. Okay. Great. As far as the production goes, I didn't put anything. So I'm gonna jump straight into the story.
Okay.
Howard walks down the trash-strewn Cleveland streets, coat pulled tightly around him. Half hidden in the shadow, we shoot low, making it impossible to know that Howard is short or a duck. The despondent voice of Howard narrates the picture. He didn't ask to be here, this world of hairless apes. He didn't ask to be here, this world of hairless apes. A world where, no matter how hard he tries to blend in, he doesn't belong. We follow Howard into Joe's, a nightclub that was the peak of fashion 20 years ago, but is now just a pit. Howard finishes with, and the only thing worse than being stuck in Cleveland, he hops onto the bar stool, revealing that our protagonist is a duck, is being a duck stuck in Cleveland. He flings a finger towards the gin. The bartender grunts, ID. Howard flashes ID, his PI license also visible. The bartender gives him a Yahoo. Yahoo?
Yahoo. Yeah, a Yahoo. A Yoo-hoo. It's a Yoo-hoo.
Is a Yoo-hoo?
Sorry, yeah. It's Yoo-hoo. Yeah.
Great.
It's not the search engine, it's the chocolate drink.
I'm gonna do that again because I don't need that. The bartender grunts, ID. Howard flashes his ID, his PI license also visible. The bartender gives him a Yoo-hoo. How did I get here? Continues Howard. Long story. One I meant to drown out with gin and cigar smoke. Guess I'll settle for a Yoo-hoo and an upset tummy. Howard's also lactose in this.
Yeah. I had a feeling you were doing that there.
We see the shadow of the band as they come on stage. Howard explains that he's been sleeping behind the bar. Tonight's the first night he's had the nerve to come in and see the nightingale that sings him to sleep each night. The lights come up, and to Howard's surprise, she's beautiful too. Dresses like a loon, but that ain't hiding nothing. He pushes it down. What am I thinking, you dummy? Howard chugs his Yoo-hoo, then slips away. He's like, I'm a duck and she's a dame, and yeah.
Sure.
It's cold and miserable, but at least he has Bev to sing him to sleep. Howard's slumber is disturbed by the sounds of goons harassing Bev. He tries to roll over and ignore it. He's got enough problems. But his conscience gets the best of him. He jumps up, yelling at the goons, telling them to let him go. They laugh, asking, what's he gonna do? Use quack foo? Howard looks at them like they're fucking idiots. No, he says, I've got a gun.
Now, no, wait. Now, isn't Quack Fu also like canonically a comic thing for
Yes.
him? Okay.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely like a thing he knows how to do.
Just
Uh,
okay. Well, but
right.
I like the subversion with the gun though. That's fun.
Howard pulls a snub-nosed revolver from his coat and shoots the goon in the foot. Freaked, the goons run off. We see a similar scene to the one in the movie, except Howard asks Bev why she isn't more rattled by his appearance. To which she says, it's Cleveland. He's not even the weirdest thing she's seen today. She invites Howard out of the rain. Howard's starting to give her shit for this, and she giving him a knowing smile. Because it's a duck. Yeah, it's a joke. The next scene also stays pretty close to the movie, with Howard and Bev sharing conversation. We exercise the flashback scene. When asked how he got here, Howard just says that he's still trying to figure that out. Bev offers him the bed, but Howard says, no can do, dollface. What kind of bum would I be if I kicked a dame out of her own bed? She laughs, saying, you talk funny. Then turns out the light. In the comic, Howard's not quite this noir, but
You're leaning a little heavier into it because you're you.
these are all correct statements. We cut to the lab where a young scientist is being chewed out by a supervisor. This is Phil, played by Crispin Glover, being scolded by Dr. Jennings, played by Tim Curry. The lab is a disaster, and Jennings wants answers. Phil can't explain. He was just up late entering data when everything went kablooey. The scene ends with Jennings discovering a Destroyer Duck action figure at the base of the laser. We cut to the following morning where we have more conversation between Bev and Howard. She's made them pancakes. Howard asks if she's used eggs in the pancakes. She's like, are you like a vegetarian or something? And Howard's like, no, I just don't want to like accidentally use a cousin. Bev gets ready for work, but tells Howard he's welcome to stay while she's away. He asks if she has any like clothes that are dry. And she's like, yeah, probably not any that fit, but you can check that the bottom drawer. Some of my ex's things are in there. Howard digs through until he spots a sweater with the logo for Lucas Labs printed on the front. Howard freaks out, asking Bev, where did you get this? She explains that her ex-boyfriend works there, but what's the big deal? Wide-eyed, Howard mutters, it was the case to end all cases. The screen goes all wavy as we transition to Howard's office on Duck World. A foxy widow, which is also a duck, enters the office wanting to hire Howard to find her missing husband. She gives him a photo of a dorky-looking duck, a real like Jessica Rabbit, Roger Rabbit situation. She suspects his job had something to do with his disappearance. He was stressful and secretive leading up to it. Howard asks where he works. She slides a business card with the same Lucas Lab logo across the desk. We crossfade to the same logo on a glass door. From beyond the door, we can hear someone spitting a Donald Duck imitation. We cut inside where Howard tells him that he's being a fucking racist, and if he doesn't have anything to offer, he can dig up clues himself. Trying to salvage the meeting, Phil asks Bev to lunch. She too huffs away. Behind her, Phil shouts optimistically that he'll keep working on their problem in exchange for lunch.
Sure.
Right. I wanted to establish that Phil is Bev's ex-boyfriend and not just some random stranger that does science.
Yeah, not just some guy who's going to just come in and be a plot device.
Yeah. Outside, we see a similar argument, except Howard is much shittier to Bev, saying that he should never relied on these primitive apes for help.
Oh,
yeah,
wow,
yeah. Also, when the class comes over to harass him, he tells them to fuck off, using the one fuck per PG-13.
There's our one fuck board.
Yeah. Holding back a tear, Bev says she's got to get to work. Howard feels like shit, but the damage is already done. He sits beside the man with a sandwich, asking if he plans to finish it. The man hands him the sandwich. Howard takes the sandwich, empties out the middle, and just starts gobbling the bread. Making like quack noise.
just drop all these cold cuts on the ground, just like
yeah, exactly like that.
So stupid. I
Uh,
love it.
so instead of a collection of pointless scenes that we get in the original, we spend some time with Howard, getting to like we really see that he doesn't fit in here.
Yeah.
I do want to keep the hunting gag.
The hunting gag is good.
His
Yeah.
like fear of hunting gag. Also, the guy in the bus was like, "That's a duck."
No, you can't lose
Yeah.
him.
But in general, people either like react with fear, revulsion, confusion, like basically everything that Bev didn't do. Like she
Yeah.
immediately accepted him.
So he's actually like kind of appreciating a little bit more. Like, yeah,
Yes.
she really didn't.
Yeah.
I got her wrong. I did
Yeah.
did a bad thing.
Yeah. Finally, Howard heads back to the club, hat in hand, stale bag of bread in the other. It's like roses, but bread. Because he's a duck.
Stale bag of bread. God.
Well,
I got you some apology croutons.
right.
Just,
Thank you.
I mean, I'd accept that.
I hate croutons.
I love them.
While the landlord / manager is just as sleazy in this scene as he is in the original, we get the added tension of finding out that this is sort of the guy that Bev's been seeing. She has terrible taste in
Oh
men.
my
Yeah.
god. And just putting herself in all kinds of a bad
Right?
situation. Like
Ugh.
this is way too many roles for this person to have in her life.
Yeah.
God.
So the battle ensues as it does in the movie, except for instead of a vodka bottle being handed to Howard, it's a Yoo-hoo bottle. And while the fight is more brutal, it ends with Howard threatening space rabies all the same.
Sure, why not?
Backstage, Phil barges in to the dressing room, much to Cherry Bomb's disgust. Before they were like, "Oh, it's fine that this man just burst into our dressing room." Whereas in this, they're like, "Hey, Phil."
Yep.
Phil has brought a large circular Italian food item and alcoholic beverage. Bev tells him to fuck off, saying the only reason she would want to hear from him is if he has more information on Howard's situation. They then leave to go back upstairs. Here I read some uncomfortable words that I've written.
Okay.
Back upstairs, as things wind down, Bev discovers a chunk of glass in Howard's back. She removes it. This is from the fight.
Oh, right.
The bar fight's more brutal in this version.
Oh, yeah, apparently. I mean, if he's got glass embedded in him.
She removes it, surprised to see Howard bleed. Howard says, of course he does, same as her. She dresses the wound.
What else do you think would happens when a duck gets filled with daylight?
Right. Yes. She dresses the wound, building the courage to ask, do you kiss the same as me? Howard has to admit that he doesn't, and he's got no lips.
What the fuck do you think?
Duck's got no lips, but he does something like a kiss. She asks him to show her. He does, nuzzling her cheek. They look at one another, both knowing where this is headed.
That's oddly sweet.
Yeah. Howard says they can't, that his friends and family will call him a freak.
Well,
Bed's hurt, saying she's not a freak. Howard says it's not that he just, he thinks she's beautiful, but it's just not right. Bev says, who cares? It's Cleveland.
fucking hell.
We fade to black as Bev rubs her face against his.
Still uncomfortable.
Still uncomfortable.
But a little more like tender.
Yes.
Than like relatable.
I'm a sex kitten and I want to fuck this duck.
Yeah, it's not. God damn it. It's so weird. It's so fucking weird.
You know, I've been trying to find whether or not in the comics Bev and Howard are in a relationship. Like they sleep in the same bed, but I don't think there's anything else to it.
Really, they didn't go full like I Love Lucy, like there's separate beds or like
Nah,
Dick
it's
Van
70s.
Dyke Show, like
It's the 70s. Everyone just sleeps on the floor. I'm only on like issue 8 of the original.
That's fair.
So we got to the next morning where both Howard and Bev are naked in bed, leaving no question whether or not these two fucked. They did. Howard is the big spoon to Bev's little spoon. They both begin to wake up at the same time, but it's Bev who sees the 3 men standing over them. A distraught Phil calls her names, while Tim Curry's Dr. Jennings says, fascinating. Bev and Phil argue, she calling him a liar because he said he gave his keys back. He ignores that, asking if he enjoyed his little duck wiener. She pushes him, saying, "It's bigger than yours, Phil."
And it goes more directions.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it.
One of the initial ideas I had for opening this was talking about duck sexual anatomy, but I didn't.
I mean, it's fascinating and horrifying, but
Which is what Tim Curry would say.
yeah, there we go.
Meanwhile, Howard and Jennings have a more civilized conversation where Jennings explains that the spectroscope, which is a thing I think exists and is not something that shoots you through space,
It's not that at all.
has been misaligned and accidentally engaged, hitting a wormhole, coming out the other side, and presumably making contact with a similar laser firing device. He admits that it's theoretical, but he believes he can send Howard home. Both Bev and Phil stop at the sound of this, one ecstatic, the other distressed. We cut straight to the lab, skipping the fucking fan ride. Van.
Van ride, yeah.
As Jennings preps the equipment, Howard and Bev say their goodbyes. Howard telling Bev, "Don't cry, we'll always have Cleveland." Unlike the others.
That's not reassuring.
No, it's not. Unseen by the others, Phil mutters about duck fuckers. And then he changes the polarity of the laser's platform.
Oh.
They throw the switch, but instead of being warped away, Howard is being pulled apart. Bev runs to Howard, only to get trapped in the beam herself. Idiot. Jennings quickly discovers the issue. He runs over to fix it, which he does, but this causes him to also be atomized and shot through space. Standing alone in the lab, Phil realizes what he's just done and cringes. That was his boss he just shot to Duckworld.
Oh no.
Similarly to how the original movie began, Howard, Bev, and Dr. Jennings are hurtling through space, screaming and flapping their arms wildly. Jennings shouts, "Ow, something bit me," before all three descend into Duckworld. Howard and Bev land safely in some garbage, but Dr. Jennings crashes through a strip club, landing center stage surrounded by topless ducks.
No, god
Areolas,
damn it.
areolas
No.
everywhere. As far as the eye can see, areolas.
I thought that you had
Nope.
saved us from this the way you opened it, and no, you made it worse.
I make you work for it.
You built up the duck nipples. Damn it.
There's a beat while everyone is silent before the room erupts in screams. We cut to the street where bare-breasted ducks and club patrons flee the club. Still screaming, Dr. Jennings crawls out on his hands and knees from the front door. Smaller.
Yeah, of course.
The gang reunites in the street. Howard says that they should go back to his office. He needs a moment to think. Besides, his parakeet needs fed. Bev asks for clarification. Does he say he has a pet parakeet? And Howard's like, "Yeah, I don't like dogs. What of it?"
They walk in, the parakeet's like, "Hey, how are you?"
Yeah, right. Yeah. Also, that's our Danny DeVito.
Perfect.
Or that was a little bit more Michael Keaton Beetlejuice. Like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember when Beetlejuice came out. I think it was also like 84.
Oh fuck! Can we get Michael Keaton instead of Dan Aykroyd?
I think he might make Howard a little scary pervert again.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of is. But
if it's less Beetlejuice and just more like Michael Keaton, it might work actually.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's do it.
let's do it. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
all right.
Now he's Michael Keaton.
We've sorry, Dan. We'll use you again. Don't worry. We arrive at Howard's office, a filthy hole in the wall with cigarettes strewn about the ground and the general odor of defeat in the air. While Howard digs through the filing cabinet, Bev takes in the surroundings, notably a number of dusty photos on the wall. They tell the story of a young duck with a hopeful future that went wrong somewhere. Bev discovers a photo turned face down. It shows Howard with his wife on their wedding day. Bev returns it face down. Howard finds the files he needs. Jennings asks, is there somewhere a bit roomier they could have this conversation? He's starting to feel a little cramped. Howard takes them to the diner around the corner. This is similar to which we have like a very similar diner scene.
Is it still Cajun sushi?
Yeah, I think it has to be Joe Roma's.
Joe Roma. It's still specifically Joe Roma's Cajun
Yeah.
sushi. Okay, perfect. I want to go there. I want it to be real.
There's got to be some Cajun sushi somewhere online. White people exist for a reason.
That's a good point. Yeah, we'll look into it later.
They exist, and the reason is to bastardize
Everything.
food, everything. Jennings slowly changes into a grosser version of himself, with no one seeming to notice.
Oh, that was one of the things that we didn't talk about. Like while we did praise the effects
Mhm.
of Jennings' transformation, there are points in like the interstitial parts of that transformation that don't make any goddamn sense.
Oh yeah,
Like when he wipes his brow with the napkin and he sets it down on the table,
It's
and then
steaming.
the napkin is like steaming. Like
that makes no sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
That whole scene has effects that were unnecessary.
Yeah, that's like the one that sticks out in my mind, though. Like that one just
It's
rubbed me the wrong
bizarre.
way so much, especially whenever there's so much going on that is really good and effective.
Yeah. Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Well, we won't have that part.
Which one have that
Let's
part?
skip over
Well, yeah,
that.
let's cut that part out. That's fine.
The good old boys come over. Oh shit! No, they don't. Not yet.
Oh, okay.
So Jennings is changing. Howard is reviewing what is known about Lucas Labs. We flash back to Howard sneaking into the lab for clues. He discovers a Destroyer Duck action figure.
Oh,
But being discovered, this was like a last minute change, so the phrasing, the wording is garbage. Let me try this
Okay.
again.
Yeah, go for it.
Howard reviews what he knows about Lucas Labs. This is when we flash back to Howard investigating the lab, sneaking in at night, and discovering a Destroyer Duck action figure. But as he does, we see someone off screen discover him. The unseen person, Duck, bumps the laser and shoots Howard through space. So we now see how Howard got sent and how the Destroyer Duck action figure ended up in the lab.
Yes.
Now the good old boys come over.
The duck good old boys.
Oh God, can you imagine just like trucker ducks?
Just redneck trucker
Yeah.
ducks.
So instead of them harassing Howard, they harass Bev. So they tie her down. They're like prepping her for cook. Howard yells that that's his girlfriend. God damn it! To which the ducks laugh, gag, cry, whatever,
Scream in
scream.
terror.
Howard tries to fight them off, even pulling his pistol. Actually, I cut that part, but that's fine. But they are only saved when lightning is fired from Dr. Jennings' fingers, causing the fountain machine to explode. Everyone in the crowd screams, saying, "He's got space rabies! Run!"
Okay, I like the callback there.
Yeah.
That's good.
The crowd panics as Jennings fires off his lightning, eyes radiating with fire, and he foams cosmic glitter, saying, "I see God."
I love Tim. I love the idea of Tim
Yes.
Curry in this role. God damn it.
Howard tries to take Jennings down, offering him a pot of coffee, which the doctor accepts, drinking it straight from the pot. Bev thanks Howard, then asks if what he said was true, that she is his girlfriend. He calls her doll face and tries to brush it off. She gives him a peck on the forehead and says, "Sure, I'll be your girlfriend. All I had to do was ask." It's decided that the best course of action is to go to the lab where Howard got zapped. With Jennings' condition only getting weirder, Howard says that they should bring him along to see if someone can take a look at him. They arrive at the lab, but no one is there. It's Bev who first notices that it's an identical copy of the one in Cleveland. Jennings fucks off to the break room to find more coffee. The only thing keeping him human, which is very relatable.
Deeply.
I imagine having like big Louis Tully energy when he's possessed by
Just chugging the entire.
He's like running around, like legs spread apart. It's amazing.
Just the utter like embodiment of that key master.
Right.
Just...
Yes. Searching the compound, Bev and Howard find thousands of crates filled with Destroyer Duck brand action figures. Before they can piece it together, two half-duck, half-human goons grab Howard.
Oh.
Stepping from the shadows is Dr. Ike, the same duck in the widow's photo. Howard informs Dr. Ike, that his wife thinks he's having an affair. The duck, who is voiced by Tim Robbins.
Ah, here we go.
I forgot I did that. Shouts that he is having an affair, screaming, "Science is my side hoe!"
It's a very I'm fucking my movies
Right,
kinda
yes,
Steven
that's exactly what it
Spielberg-esque
was.
thing. Just
Have we brought that up on the show before?
No, I don't think we have, but we've talked about that several
Yeah.
times.
It's rumored that when Spielberg was married to his first wife, she accused him of having an affair, to which he said, "I'm fucking my movies."
Yeah.
Because he wasn't having an affair. He was just
You're just
obsessed with making film.
like you do.
I love it. So we see Dr. Ike's plan in montage as he narrates, because evil doctor things. After making contact with Phil on Earth, Dr. Ike was able to extract the naked ape genome. Science words. Beep, beep, bop, bop.
Beep, beep, boop, boop, bop.
With
Bling
it,
blong.
he was able to make duck people who would infiltrate every level of business and government across the world. To prepare the people of Earth for their eventual duck overlords, they would produce movies, TV, cereal with ducks as their heroes. So when the ducks were finally revealed, the people would bow before their duck
no.
overlords.
Was Darkwing Duck propaganda?
Yeah.
Oh no!
And for those who are very nerdy and unfortunate, yes, Dr. Ike is a reference to David Icke and his obsession with lizard people.
That tracks.
Speaking to Howard, Dr. Ike says, "Too bad you won't live to see it. Based on your taste in women, you'd quite like our new world." Dr. Ike turns a video screen revealing the image of Phil. Phil apologizes for keeping them in the dark, especially Bev. This was meant to be a gift. They were going to be the king and queen of the Mallard people. Bev calls him a fucking asshole, to which Dr. Ike says, "Very clever. With the delay to Earth, Phil will absolutely be crushed in about 20 minutes. There's not literally crushed. It's a delay. It's a time delay. So he will hear Bev call him an asshole in like 20 minutes.
Oh, I see. I see.
When Brad gets the laser, sorry, originally as a space holder for Dr. Ike, I just had Brad.
Oh. Just Brad.
Little peek behind the curtain there.
That's fun. I like that.
It's either XXX or Brad. Sorry. While Dr. Ike gets the laser ready, it gives them he's going to give them the stretch. Same thing.
Yeah.
Howard whispers to Bev, telling her that Jennings is on the other side of the glass. Which we then see he's like tearing apart, like literally tearing a vending machine down the middle.
Oh
like
God.
He's like eating like raw grounds.
Oh no.
Oh,
he's gonna shit so bad.
Howard asks if she can reach the gun in his pocket. She tries, this leading to the terrible feather raising scene. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You motherfucker.
She gets the gun, but it's
yeah, she did.
It slips and goes off, ricocheting.
I swear this never happens.
Eventually shattering the glass and alerting Dr. Jennings to the situation.
Yes.
Dr. Jennings, absolutely jacked on coffee and space rabies, aimlessly lasers the shit out of the lab. Both goons explode in a shower of feathers. Machinery falls onto Dr. Ike, killing him. His last words words of remorse. "We were so preoccupied with whether or not ducks could fuck that we didn't ask if ducks should fuck."
Questions you wish George Lucas and
Yes.
Willard
It's a little too mellow or meta, but Bev asks that his last act be a noble one, cure Dr. Jennings. To which he says, "It's space rabies. It's just penicillin. He just needs a shot of penicillin."
Wow, space rabies is like kind of tame.
Yeah.
That's weird. Like,
Which
real
he's
real
like,
rabies kills you.
we keep in the first aid kit.
There's medicine cabinets.
Yeah. Yeah. So Bev goes over, gets the shot of penicillin, and chucks it at Jennings, who's, he's fine. They then send him back to Earth.
He now has a giant hole in his stomach lining from all the coffee. But
So he doesn't transform immediately back. It's not like a Looney Tune.
sure.
But they laser him back to Earth. Howard, needing to stay on this end to destroy the laser, tells Bev he's got to stay. Bev tells Howard she wants to stay with him, that she doesn't care what everyone thinks. He says Duck World is no place for a dame. She says neither is Cleveland. Then kicks a laser, which does nothing. It's a laser. It, kicking it with her shoe is going to do nothing.
Yeah, it's not. No.
Howard points to the destruct button. Uh, before she pushes it, displayed on the monitor is the image of Farrell Jennings returning to the lab where he brutally murders Phil, only to have the space rabies melt away at that exact moment. What have I done?
Oh no.
Bev says, it's not your fault, it was the space rabies, which Howard goes a reminder that there's a delay, but he's just like, fuck it. He hits the sequence and the two run from the lab as it explodes. We cut to 1 year later, where we see Bev in a flashy music video, several large-breasted ducks acting as backup dancers. We pull back to see Howard and Bev watching TV and cuddling. She says, not too bad for a hairless ape. Or sorry, he says, not too bad for a hairless ape. They laugh, and just when it's about to cut to black, we hear the voice of Dr. Jennings through the TV shouting, Howard, you have to come back. Static, static, static. The whole world, static, static, static. Space rabies. The TV goes dead. Howard turns to Bev. The screen fades to black, but only for a moment before the words, Howard the Duck will return in Howard the Duck 2, Dawn of the Hairless Apes, before fading to black.
Outstanding.
It's a script.
It's a script. It's a script. You did that. You made that script. You did the thing.
God.
It. Whew. So. Oh my God.
It's yeah. So that's the fix.
I like that you made the transformation that Jennings is going through way less excruciatingly exposition dependent.
Yeah.
And also eliminated the Harryhausen-esque monster from the end there.
Which like I do like stop motion.
Yeah, but like it
felt really out of place.
It was really out of place. It felt and looked out of place. Like the creature itself was very skillfully done.
Yeah.
But like it doesn't look like it's lit the same way as everything else. Yeah. It's too jarringly separate from the setting. It is. Yeah. Like it didn't need to be there. I like how many of the extraneous scenes you cut. I'm glad we don't have the whole jizz mopping spa scene.
No, definitely not.
I'm upset at the number. I'm so upset at the number of duck tits though, because it's non-zero and it's actually higher.
But perhaps a little bit more appropriately placed.
Well, yeah, at least like a duck strip club. Like if duck tits have to exist, which I still argue they should not because they're not mammals. But if they have to exist, at least they have a place to. I guess I don't know. This is a weird line of thought, even in context.
How did you feel about the Phil character? Because he's the one that changed the most.
I like the changes to Phil. I think that it makes his place in the story makes so much more sense. Like he actually has motivations, he actually has personality, and it's clear why he's there.
Cool.
Even if he does end up just like eviscerated at the end.
Yeah. Well, I assume he would come back in the sequel as a half man, half duck.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, but we couldn't get Crispin Glover to return, so we had to get like a lookalike. Didn't that happen for like Back to the Future? Am I remembering that correctly?
Did it?
I want to say that like there's a legal issue that prevented him from coming back for sequel.
I don't remember that.
I'll look it up. Or he didn't come back. They used his image anyways, and he sued and got money for not being in the movie, but like being in the movie. This is unimportant, and we'll never do Back to the Future. So
yeah, there's never going to be a DeRazzled Back to the Future episode unless there's like a re-razzled. Like,
Let's fuck it
we're
up.
gonna fuck this movie up.
Maybe that's what we'll do for Christmas episodes from now on.
April-
Kind of like a reverse Behind the Bastards, where they
Yeah, instead of doing the Christmas non-bastard, we do the Christmas movie fucking up.
yeah we fuck it up.
So we never have to do Saving Christmas again.
Yeah, I think that was our only Christmas based episode to choose from. So
It was, and we
did
got it
it.
out of the way early. Oh, man.
So how do you think our DeRazzled version
Ooh,
scores?
I think just because you've streamlined the narrative a bit and you've made some of the character relationships and or character like purposes more clearly defined. And eliminated a lot of unnecessary effects that were going to take up time and resources. I think that I still think it's going to get shit on.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
still
it's
Duck having relations with a woman.
especially since this one actually fucks. Like you actually put duck
I'm
fucking
like,
in there.
You can't, if you're gonna go down that road, don't half-ass it.
You whole assed duck
Either
fucking.
Don't suggest any duck fucking, or fuck that duck. It's kind of like this is not at all like this, but it is like this, where there's a point where there were like zombie movies, but they refused to call them zombies. I'm like, they're zombies. Just say it. Don't be afraid to say it. Just say it.
We're not using the Z word.
It's a zombie, not walkers.
But that bit was really good in
That- no,
Shaun
no,
of
no.
the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead, it works because they still like make reference to that.
Yeah.
Um,
God, do I need to specify that we do not condone duck fucking? Please don't fuck
probably
ducks.
should,
I
unless you're in one of those 4 states. Hawaii being one of them. So it's weird.
wait. What?
Yeah, Hawaii's like several of the states. You're like, yeah, of course. And then there's Hawaii, and I'm like, do you guys just not get around to making that a law? Maybe not. I'm looking at you, Hawaii.
I'm deeply upset.
Hashtag Hawaii for not bestiality.
This is a bad hack. No.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it.
God damn it.
Well, hey, thanks everybody for coming.
Score
right.
score wise, I think what was it? It was 14% for the critic score.
Something like that.
I think it breaks 25.
Okay.
Maybe 30.
I was gonna say 30.
Yeah. I could see that happening. It's not gonna make it anywhere near fresh.
No,
Because Leah Thompson fucks a duck in this movie.
she does. She does do that.
It would propel it to such cult status, though, I think, that the audience score
Yeah. I think initially
69.
God damn it. I think initially the score is really low. It's like 36. And then as the cult following builds, it gets to 69. And then
And
everyone's
then
like, don't
touch it. Don't ever fucking rate this again. There's a team of Redditors just
Oh, God.
constantly
Right,
watching the
right.
score on this movie to make sure they can balance it.
I don't even care what the IMDb score is. Joe, you want to play us out?
Thank you, everybody, for listening to whatever the hell just happened. And thank you to everybody who has been listening and reviewing. We are wherever you find podcasts. You can rate and review us on Apple, on Spotify, on Good Pods. We had actually topped the film and TV top 100 on Good Pods for like a solid week or so, something like
weeks,
that. Yeah, I think there was like a day where we dropped down, and then we went right back up again. So like, help us get back there. That would be great. We want to keep on engaging with everybody. We want to keep on improving the show and getting out there for more and more people to hear. Please send us what you think about the fixes that we do to DeRazzledPodcast@gmail.com, or let us know what you'd like to see us cover in season 2. We are in the middle. We are past the halfway point of season 1 now, and we are planning season 2, and we have a few things on deck, but we want to know what you want to hear us tackle as well.
Sit down with your nana, your pop, play this episode for them, bond with them, cry with them. Because
try to explain to them why we're talking about this duck and why it's having sex with a woman.
It'll sure razzle dazzle.
No, we're not ending that way. No.
Razzle-dazzle 'em.
No, god damn it.
It's over. Can't take it back.
Oh, for God's sake. Follow us on Twitter, on Twitter at DeRazzledPod, on Instagram at DeRazzled_podcast, on Facebook at DeRazzled Podcast. Thank you to everyone who... I've lost it.
I'm already done. I've walked out of the room.
No. All right. We'll be sure everybody to razzle dazzle you.
Real quick before you shut off the audio, do you want to do a quick riff? Possible replacement for the opening where we talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the fuckery that Spider-Man caused?
Yeah. Let's do
Yeah,
that a
we'll do
little
quick.
bit. Yeah.
I'm gonna treat it like it's an intro, but we can also just add it as like an extra somewhere.
Okay.
So as good as Spider-Man Enter the Cat toy, what the
What?
fuck? I
What
don't
just
know.
happened?
I like cats.
What?
Spider-Man returning to home, far from away from
No,
home.
that was the last one.
Shit.
Jesus Christ. Spider-Man No Way Home.
That's what I said.
Oh, my mistake. Sorry.
So Marvel really fucked up with that movie.
What?
They really fucked up.
I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
They
What-
opened Pandora's box when they said, "Hey, Tobey Maguire, spoilers for this movie." if you haven't had a spoiler already, I don't know.
I know.
where,
It's
how.
yeah.
But when they opened the door, like, this is now part of the MCU. This is now part of the MCU. They
Yeah.
also open up the door to every Marvel movie that's ever been made.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's inevitable. You cannot make that movie do those things and not have there be consequences
Yeah.
for the universe beyond just the
Why do you think Doctor Strange was so freaked out?
Yeah, because he's simultaneously taking in all of the fear of things coming through.
So let's talk real quick about what movies are now officially a part of the MCU. I want to start with David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury.
I desperately want to see that Nick Fury interact with Samuel L. Jackson's
It's-
Nick Fury.
Almost exactly like Samuel L. Jackson as far as like visually. Just Photoshop a white guy in there and take away the coat, and you have David Hasselhoff.
That's really about it.
Yeah. I remember watching as a youth and being confused. I only knew Nick Fury from the animated Spider-Man movies, and I was like, this feels not
Feels
good.
weird.
You also have to accept Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher,
Yep.
as well as the other Punishers. Tom Jane, who it's a bit of a guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
to be
no,
honest.
I did not hate that movie. No.
Not appropriate, not like doesn't connect with the comics very well, but
No.
still enjoyable. You get
Which also means that John Travolta is a part
John
of the
Travolta is now
MCU.
part of the MCU. And Jessica, no, not Jessica Remain, who played Mystique in the
Oh, Rebecca Romijn.
Rebecca Remain.
Yeah.
She's now in the MCU multiple times because she was in that Punisher.
Oh yeah. Oh
Uh,
god. Oh,
as well as Mystique.
we've got multiple Romains going on
Yeah,
here. That's
That's
just
fine.
yeah. I'll take it.
We have to. Do we include? I think we have to include the Hulk live action show plus the additional made for TV movie.
What about the Ang Lee?
Oh fuck! I think you're right.
I think the Ang Lee. I don't think we can escape the Ang Lee Hulk here.
You got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
And you got some Hulk dogs and some what's this fuck being the absorbing man. Nick Nolte? Is it Nick Nolte?
Was it Nick Nolte?
It was one. It was a kooky doodle.
It's a way to put it. I genuinely don't remember.
It doesn't matter, but it's there now. It's official. It's true.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we get Blade.
We do get Blade.
We get
I
Blade.
do like that.
We also do get both iterations of the Fantastic Four.
Fuck. Are you included? My brain was like, wait, both the Jessica Alba one and the Roger Corman one?
Oh, sorry. In that case, all three.
What's the third one? What am I
Oh,
missing?
the later one with Michael B. Jordan.
Huh, somehow that one had been erased from my mind. Thank you. I think we'll probably end up covering that later because I think it won a Razzie.
I don't know if it did.
I think it did. If not, it was,
Well,
it was definitely
I
nominated.
still have the winners pulled up here.
So there's the Roger Corman movie that they made strictly to throw away, so they could keep the rights to the Fantastic Four.
Oh, you're right. It tied with 50 Shades of Grey.
That's gonna be
what it
that was a weird year.
What a weird year.
Um,
2015 was fucked.
But we're and this relates to our episode. The very first movie in the Marvel MCU, Howard the Duck.
Now I do have to real quick. Moment of silence for Italian Spider-Man. Okay.
I forgot about Italian Spider-Man.
How?
Don't forget Japanese Spider-Man who has a mech.
Oh my god. I did forget about that. But yeah, no, Howard the Duck, obviously, first film in the MCU, and why we are here today.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm stopping recording.
Okay. Good God. Good golly gosh. Spent about 20 minutes before Joe gets here. I asked her to bump it back to 4:30.
Yeah. No, that works out. Holy shit.
I feel like there's some really bad Marvel movies out there that I forgot. There's the made-for-TV Captain Americas.